All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to call the regular meeting of the Willington School Building Committee to order. It's July 13th, 2026 at 7 p.m. Members present are myself, James Marshall, Adam Brewer, Adam Zalonis, Jeremy Brothers, Ann Grosjean, Bill Stevens is here. And online we have Peter Bacon, I see Mike McCoo and John Tien. All right, so we do have an open seat. We want to make a motion to seat our one alternate, or I'll just move we seat John Tien in place of Lisa. We'll get to that in a second. You seconded it? Yeah. All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, John, you're seated for us.
Okay.
All right. And we'll move right along because we've got a packed agenda again. So first up is chair report. I moved this up specifically to note that we've had some changes to the committee makeup. As of last week, Lisa Eaton, who was serving as an alternate to the committee, has been moved to a full voting member position. And that left an open alternate vacancy, and the Board of Selectmen moved to appoint a new member to the committee who I don't see online tonight. Her name is Michelle Rager. You have her correspondence basically in your packets. She is an architect that has children in the district. And I think she'll be a valuable voice to us moving forward, and hopefully she can jump in kind of full speed with the background she has. Because we are in crunch time, which is great. We are working, and we're working to get her set up. I think she has an email. I don't know whether she has access to it, which might be part of the concern tonight, but with that said, welcome, Michelle. We look forward to having you with us moving forward. Secondly, under that item, you guys have the next several documents in your agenda are the meeting notes from the working group meeting for the last couple of weeks. It's been longer than normal since our last meeting. But that gives you essentially a synopsis of how we got from where we were. Our last meeting was right before the community conversation event. And a lot has happened to get to the point for all of the discussion items we have to talk about tonight. And with that said, I'm just going to jump. I'll stop talking and move right into letting other people talk. So next up is community forum Q&A. Public participation is encouraged. Speakers are encouraged to utilize this opportunity for dialogue with the committee constructively and will be limited by appropriateness, staying on topic, and maintaining decorum. So with that said, got a number of people online, and I'll start the room. If anybody is interested in speaking, please just identify yourself and feel free.
I have a question. My name is Josh Blues. I live in Willington. The school that we're looking to either remodel or build, from what I was seeing, the remodel costs more than the new school build in either sense. And from what I understood, it would have to cost less than the new school to be approved, as well as the secondary model on the same property we have doesn't have enough acreage, as well as it's also, I believe, in a floodplain. So it's, well, I don't know if you can get that approved anyway. I just didn't know if that had been looked into. I don't know if either of those even count as the models that we can use to build this or update the school. I just wanted to bring that forward then.
That's a very good question. I want to refer to you guys, particularly on the ad reno being more expensive than either of the two new consolidated.
Yeah, you are correct. You know, as part of a renovation status, once you submit a project, you choose the project and you submit it, you've got to file for renovation status. That can't happen before you submit a grant, it happens after. And you're absolutely correct that to achieve renovation status, you're supposed to certify, typically the architect would certify in an estimate that it's cheaper to renovate than to build new. And the estimates right now indicate that that is not the case. So all of the communications on that subject have said renovation status is not guaranteed. We're presenting the cost to the community, but that reimbursement from the state is certainly not guaranteed. And then as far as the floodplain, I don't know, Jeff, if you want to talk about that, you guys.
Well, there is a floodplain, but there's buildable or usable land on, all the options that were presented in order to either add to the building or build a new building. So there's usable land that's outside the building.
Just in the actual picture, it intersected the building.
That would likely be the setback line.
Oh, is that setback?
Yeah, there's probably a 100-foot setback.
Okay.
As this project moves ahead, or when it moves ahead, or if it moves ahead, those will be refined. Looking at where building placement versus the setbacks.
And as far as the acreage for the one built on the same property, it's not enough, is that correct?
Yeah, you're correct. I mean, the recommendation is, for an elementary school, it's 10 acres plus 1 acre per 100. For middle school, it's 15 acres of usable area plus 1 acre per 100. So yeah, again, as the current site sits, if you did build anew on the existing site or renovate on the existing site, again, as the current condition exists, very limited athletic fields would be available. Most likely they would still be busing to alternate fields for some of the games to support the middle school program. So yeah, you are correct that without the land acquisition, the current parcel is undersized based on the recommendation from Office of Grants Administration.
Is that a recommendation or a requirement?
It's a recommendation.
Sorry, we got a message from a new alternate trying to get in, unfamiliar, first time, just give me a second. But just as a follow-up on that, particularly with the ad reno, it's identified as a potential risk, right? So it is a viable option, but it might require either special legislation or a willingness to entertain risk by the community to proceed with that. A lot of the work that we've had is to minimize and eliminate all of those risks so that people knew what they were getting ahead of having to vote on a project. So, but it's an option people want to see, so we're presenting it with those caveats. So thank you guys.
I have a follow-up for them too.
Sure.
Jeff, given the acreage on the same site, new school, EV panel, where would it be an issue given? Basically,
Depending on the design of the building, we could likely put a combination of roof mounted PV and some ground mounted solar if that was a avenue that the community wanted to take. It would be more challenging, I will say, versus some of the other options we studied, but I think it's possible. Yep.
Jim, can I add something? The other point is that in the renovation, a lot of it, well, not a lot, but a large amount of things will not be reimbursable by the state. Whereas with the new bills, more of it is reimbursed. So we'll have to pay for more of it.
Well, yeah, and that's only correct if you don't achieve renovation status.
Oh, okay.
Right. So if you get renovation status, the majority of the repairs and replacements then would qualify for reimbursement. If you don't achieve renovation status and the community chose to go forward with that option, submit that option to the state, it wouldn't be economically viable. You could not afford to do that project without full state support.
Sorry, just for the sake of record, our recording secretary can get your name.
Josh. Luz, GLUZ.
Thank you.
Problem.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the comment.
Yeah.
Michelle's joining just. Oh, beautiful. Give me 1 second and we'll get right back to.
Oh, she's not there.
Who was there? Scroll up. Wow. Oh, she's at the bottom.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome, Michelle. You can hear us okay?
Hi, sorry. Oh, let me get my camera on. There we go. Hi.
Hi, Michelle. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining. I kind of introed you earlier before you were able to hop on.
Mhm.
But if I mean, we're happy to have you. If you want to say hi to the committee and just give a
Yeah,
brief so we get to know you.
sure. Hi guys. Yeah, I'm Michelle Rago. I've been a resident here in Willington for the last 9 years. I have two daughters. One's actually that goes to center school, so definitely close to heart. And I'm a practicing architect as well, so it's also, even more of a reason to be a part of the team. So I'm happy to share, any expertise and information that you guys need, and I'm here to help out. So looking forward to seeing this project through. I know there's a lot of hurdles and it's not easy and it's probably a long road ahead, but I'm looking forward to doing it with you guys.
Thank you and welcome to the team, Michelle. Thanks for being
Thank you.
willing to jump in.
Yes.
Get ready to jump in full speed. So,
Yes, definitely. Let's do it.
all right, thank you. Back to present speak. So,
Ralph Tillis,
how are you, Ralph?
Village Hill Road, Willington. Obviously, there's a lot of folks that know my outlook on this whole project. Number one priority for me is to preserve the 1922 portion of the existing mall school. As far as I'm concerned, the entire south wing could be demolished and replaced by an addition. In fact, we have a plan that could work. I think it's workable. Any new building, be it at the south end of the current property or on the 3 parcels that are south of this property that you looked at, is going to involve some things, and I'm not sure if they're going to be covered by grant. Water line extension. I don't believe the grant is going to cover anything off-site. That's going to be expensive running the water line down 32 from the existing mall school. And if your plan ultimately is to demolish the existing mall school, God forbid, that water line will have to be extended. If you're not gonna do some hodgepodge connection inside the property line from the original building down to wherever the new is. As far as navigating an addition to that building, I'm in favor of acquiring those 3 parcels south of this property for a variety of reasons, not just for school. And will come a point at which South Willington Village is going to be enhanced by a wastewater treatment facility. We have real challenges trying to do anything commercial at the mills simply because of septic. We don't have it. If you do, I don't know if you've reached out to the DOT about curb cuts. I don't know if you've tried to integrate this project with the sidewalk project that's been languishing for quite a few years, going back and forth with the DOT. One of the things that I keep hearing now about new development is it should be pedestrian friendly. If we put a building at the south end of that property, you're just, you're gonna run sidewalks all the way down there to keep in the pedestrian friendly outlook. I'm not so sure that's doable. I think it's also appropriate for the village atmosphere to preserve old school in some form, maybe not classroom space. But then I know that there are creative architects out there that know how to work with a 100-year-old building and convert it into a 21st century educational experience for kids. Now, the argument about construction impacting kids, well, I would debate that. I was going to center school when they were adding on the first time. It was fascinating for me as a student watching construction. When I was going to hall school the last year and a half, they were adding on for the first time at hall school. And every lunchtime, go downstairs, look out the window and watch the constructions and be late for lunch. It put me on a career path that I didn't know at the time. I'm now a licensed professional engineer. I've been involved in construction for almost 50 years. More from the how-to perspective and a design perspective. And I think it's a good career incentive, or at least it plants a seed in the kid's mind that this may be a good thing for them. They may not realize it at the time. I certainly didn't. But anyway,
I do want to give other people a
okay,
chance.
that's fine. I just wanted to express my last question. At a previous meeting at Hall School on the 23rd, Mr. McCoo stated the decision is in the hands of the residents as to which option. I would like to know the mechanics of how that's going to happen. Because the only real way I can see that happening is by referendum.
Thank you, Rob. That last one we are going to discuss tonight, so stay tuned. When we get to that agenda item. Scott, just to briefly touch on, or I guess gentlemen, professionals in the room, sidewalks, water line. The budgets we have assume adequate
Yeah, we've got,
for water line or cover water line, bringing water to the site.
yeah, we have 5% of the budget right now is accounted for ineligible items, which would be extension of water line, some of that offsite work. Again, we don't have a design yet, so, but we have accounted for that.
And I will say, just from I do appreciate your point about school construction being a learning experience, and I think just as a point of note, that should be the case no matter where the project is.
Absolutely.
I think there's opportunities, Bill, to involve students with construction, whether it's on the adjacent site, whether it's part of the school construction project, or whether it's an addition to hall, or whether it's on the new site. I think those are all learning opportunities and really exploration opportunities for the students. So I'd love to see it incorporated in implementation in some way, shape, or form. So. Anybody else? Thoughts? No? Otherwise, we'll give Peter, how about it?
Peter Willington, 97 Fast Road. Thank you for having us extend the present to speak. I think it's very. I want to share some of my thoughts with the committee, because I really didn't have that opportunity at the forum I attended at the library. Seemed packed with information. The public didn't get much of an opportunity to participate in the public forum. So fortunately, we have tonight, and I think, like a lot of the residents going through our fourth referendum here in July, we've had a lot of public discussion. Interestingly, a lot of confusion as well, with the townspeople confusing our budget referendums with project, which is most unfortunate, because they're entirely separate. But it highlights the community's concern about cost. And having engaged a lot of those residents, I can share with you that the perception of this project is overwhelmingly negative. Largely because I think it's based on circa 2023, when this project failed, but that's where most of our residents are. They don't come to these meetings, and they weren't at the forum, and those that were at the forum didn't really have an opportunity to give good feedback. So I thought I'd do that now, just sharing some of the information that I've gleaned after explaining that we're not voting on the school project yet. I have four basic areas that I have concerns about in the direction taken. The first is the enrollment projections. No one in our town is going to read the 20-page analysis by the enrollment consultant, but I think they recognize that it's vastly overstated. And I get that it's gamesmanship,
It's not, but I'm actually going to stop it right there. Those came from a professional demographer.
Okay.
And
I
I don't want to rehash that debate again, because we have a lot to get to tonight, but I understand your concern. I understand the concern of the community, but we're not.
I withdraw.
Overstate it.
I will withdraw that. I'll say there's
For the perception.
there's significant community concern about the enrollment figures. And that's reasonable.
Okay.
And that needs to evolve. The second concern, and a major issue in the first school building project, which is kind of an overreach or overscope of the project, if we're planning for a significantly larger building, than our enrollment and frankly, shrinkage of Willington.
I'll stop you there too, because the new building is in the same total building area as what we have currently.
Exactly, that's what people are questioning when our enrollments decline so significantly, but look, can I just finish, Jim?
Well, Pete, I mean, we have to kind of move this
Okay.
along and correct these as
I
we push it
I will
along.
stop now and
This isn't,
defer to you again.
I appreciate it, thank you.
And I did have a follow-up for Peter.
Go ahead.
You said that there's an issue with people's information being old, outdated, or confusing. What suggestion do you have then?
And why aren't you referring them to this committee, I would say? That's the question.
What suggestion would you have to reach said people?
The most common phrase I heard was, we voted it down, why is this back?
Well, I guess.
Because there's an opportunity to build a school that we're never gonna have. You all pay state taxes, right? You all pay taxes to the state, everybody in this room. If we don't build the school with our state money, someone else is doing it. Just keep that in mind.
I think it's a state referendum, maybe just a referendum, state referendum, the state. Reimbursement we're gonna get and the budget, we've been failing. That's what it's about.
Yeah,
It's expensive now, it's gonna keep getting more expensive.
I will say, Pete, I apologize for the sensitivity. You know, it is tough when we are going out of our way to try to get information to taxpayers, to try to get information to people. To hear comments like it's, you know, not being paid attention to, or it's not reaching people. It is a source of frustration. We're not directing it at you specifically. I think it's unfortunate because a significant opportunity for the town and people need to be aware of it. We're doing everything we can. We're open to suggestions to reach more people, or at least the people you're talking to. Because it's clearly not getting there. So if
Do
you
we
have,
have a packet here with 64 questions and answers from that event we put on?
yeah,
This is, right, this is what this is from, 64 questions and answers from that forum we sat in. So people are asking questions and they are getting responses.
and they have the opportunity at that community conversation about it too. So, but
Regardless, though, it seems the more outreach wouldn't hurt.
I agree, as much as we can get, we're trying everything.
So,
Sorry, Pete.
to that.
Tim, I'd like to comment as well.
Hold on one sec, John.
Sure.
Suggestions for meeting people. We have more information if it's about tax issues and tax impact. We do have detail, like I said, we presented. What, do you have any suggestions on how we can reach people?
Well, I don't want to overuse my time. Some respect, I should.
Okay, we can move on.
Did you have any other comments that,
Being for.
I'd like to chime in on this as well. Peter, it's John Tian. I have to remind you that the people that you speak to out at the transfer station are the people who are voting no on the budget. I doubt you've spoken to very many people who voted yes. And the town is nearly evenly split on where this Board of Education budget should be. So I would encourage you to speak to other people outside your circle. If you're only talking to people who are voting no for the education budget, it's highly likely that they're also going to vote no for the school building because they don't have the information that they need. I'd please recommend that they get the information that they need in order to make a informed decision when it comes to our vote on this, because the cost of the status quo is going to be far greater than the cost of building a new building. And, people need to know that. And please point them to this committee when they don't know. We're happy to keep them informed.
If you have any information, sending you the SBC email, we can.
Is it at all possible to involve the PTA, like to get more of this out through the schools? Speaking from someone who, is a new parent in the school systems, like, because I did not even know about the 2023 attempt until, I don't know, a month ago. So, like I said, I've been living here for the last 9 years. So I don't know if there's some way of maybe involving, the PTA to share the information more, because I don't think many parents know about it, at least not that I'm aware of. And, maybe consolidate the budget percentages. And to your point, which is excellent about the state, is either way going to build a new school, it might as well be our towns, is, more of those like elevator speech kind of points that can be clear and concise. Like, I loved the thing that came in the mail recently that had the 3 options. It was, the graphics were simple. It wasn't overwhelming with the information. and it kind of just let everybody know what's going on. So I think that kind of approach, even further, taking it another step further would be really beneficial.
Good points, Michelle. And Phil, I know it goes out, digital backpack. It is shared through the community, through the school network, not PTA specific necessarily, but
Okay.
sorry, Pete, I'll give you last, since we monopolized the tail end of that. Did you have any other comments or questions?
Do I understand my comments aren't welcome, and I'll stop.
There's nobody saying that, Pete. They are welcome. We just need to, it's trying to make a positive advancement instead of just bringing it negative all the time. Is also, we want to be constructive towards a common community goal. So
As do we, the public.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna let some other people have a chance first. Dee Dee. If you're able to unmute,
Yes, I am. Okay, thank you.
just identify yourself for the record, please, Dee Dee.
Yes, Dee Dee Jones, live in Lucian Road. I wanted to say that, yes, as was already stated, the schools have been trying to inform the parents, and me as a parent that I've been getting engaged a lot recently, have tried my hardest getting other parents involved. A lot of parents just have work and kids and a very busy life, as we all do. And just it's been hard getting them to engage more. I have no idea what to suggest as far as community engagement, but I do know that you guys went to the senior center, and I'm assuming you guys will be speaking about that. And I'm really excited to hear about it. I did want to say that as somebody who has moved around a lot, I got the displeasure of being in a school in which there was active construction. We were moved into portable rooms where we were not really able to pay attention because we heard a lot of the construction, and we did have to walk around a lot of the construction as well. This was over in Florida, so it might be a little different here. But being a person who is neurodivergent, it made it really, really hard for me to focus on the things that I needed to focus in class. And I think that's a very important point because, as we've seen, a lot of our community has special needs, and we need to keep these children in mind. I do know of quite a few on my hands that go to school with my daughter. So an active construction site would really impact their learning and their focus. And ultimately, I wanted to state that as a newcomer to this, newer comer to this town, I reviewed all of the options that you guys have, and I have seen the benefit in the completely new school with the added sites for our students. And I'm just one person, but I did want to put that out there. That is it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dee Dee. Melissa?
Hi, Melissa McKinnon, 63 Lucian Road. I just wanted to comment on the request to have PTA share information. I am the current vice president of PTA and going for president for the following year. And we have shared it to our members. Unfortunately, we only had 69 members this year. We don't have a lot of parents that sign up, so that's something I want to tackle this year of trying to get more members to join. We send it by email. We send Facebook posts to current members. So I would suggest if the lady who, Michelle, I believe, if she's not a current PTA member, we would love to have you join and to join our PTA Facebook page. Because we are still, and I'm working with Dee Dee to try to help get more word out, to try to get more parents involved because they should be involved. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Melissa, and thank you for helping share the word. And I'll just make a general comment that every time if you receive information, phone a friend, tell your neighbor. Regardless of how they feel about the project, we should all be doing the same thing, talk to as many people as you can. Anyway, I digress. Anybody else online before I go back to the room for a brief? I don't see anybody. All right. Anybody, Steph? Any comment?
I'm here to listen.
All right. If you can keep it brief, gentlemen, we are up at
Just wanted to clarify what I said before. As many questions as I asked about all these different projects and the different ways that we do it, I asked them so that we can see the roadblocks possible in the future, not that I don't want to see this go forward. I personally would like the new site with the new building, but
I appreciate it. That's why we have,
Yeah.
so we can identify what those are, both roadblocks to the project, but also roadblocks for the community. So much appreciated. Ralph?
Just very quickly, as far as the digital backpack goes, that reaches a very select small proportion of the entire population. If that's not the population you'll need to connect with. Back to the site, those additional 3 parcels to the south of the existing, the northernmost parcel certainly affords an opportunity for expanded field space. So whatever happens on the existing 14 acres would be enhanced by a town ownership of that. We could put it, it could be lay down space for an addition, staging space for an addition. You're gonna have to build a road over to it if you put a school there or you put a field there, use it for staging area. And keep the actual staging of material off and away from the existing building. Doing the addition renovation, I think, is, from my perspective, as a lifelong resident of Willington, it's the only thing.
The advantage of having that new parcel be part of this project or consolidate the site is they're reimbursed the same rate as the rest of the project is, whether it's a building on it or whether it's field space. If it's a part of the school project, it's part of the school project and eligible should take reimbursement. So. All right. Last call. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate this is the most lively Q&A we've had in a couple of weeks, a couple of months.
Comment. The next community input, their presentation is, I'm not sure how long it stays, so this.
Yeah.
When is that?
That's an excellent point. We can, so we have a presentation or a discussion, community conversation event at the senior center tomorrow at 6 p.m. Willington Senior Center. The SBC will be before the Board of Finance to discuss some of the financial aspects of this on this Thursday. And I believe
Planning on attending the summer concert series every Wednesday.
we're going to try to
evening.
start getting attendance at the summer concert series. But when is we had
The 20, and then the 22nd is another community forum at the library, starting at 7 p.m.
correct, yeah. So that we'll discuss that a little bit further down the line. But thank you for bringing that up. The 22nd. 22nd, we're going to host another event at the library. Similar to the last kind of community conversation with the TechCon team.
The library on Ruby Road.
Yeah, the library on Ruby Road.
So
We didn't have to.
tomorrow at 6 o'clock, senior center.
Correct.
Next Wednesday,
No, this Thursday,
however.
At the
Board of Finance is this Thursday.
Right.
And then the following.
Yeah, okay, so Tuesday, Thursday, next Wednesday.
Yeah,
Lots of stuff. We got a
and
busy
based
July.
on your last comment, about the parcels. It reimburses no matter with this project. If we get it and we don't put a school on it or we don't put fields on
Yeah,
it,
it would-
but it only can accommodate for the school functions for the town of Willington, not anything else.
Correct. For it to be reimbursable, it has to be used as a school site.
Just clarity.
Thank you.
Or-
Yeah, it has to be.
It has
part
to
of the
support the school,
School problem. It has to
not
be-
anything else in town. Just, I want to make sure it was clarified that,
Yeah, sorry if I was unclear, thank you.
yes, it's good what Ralph said earlier. I just want to
We
make
could
sure.
use a dual
That
use
it was-
like events or
So wastewater treatment plant would help the school.
We unfortunately are not. None of this committee is not involved with wastewater or bringing water to Southern Wellington. That's a larger community conversation and probably a larger project. But. He's, oh, go ahead.
No,
Stefan.
just the event on the 22nd at the library.
Yes.
What time was that?
7 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right,
tomorrow at 6.
the one tomorrow is at 6. And we will push that out on our group channels and Facebook groups and everything every coming day, so. Thank you, everybody. Again, thank you for the discussion. It's very welcome, very appreciated, so. All right, right along, let's get down to business. Next up is approval of minutes for we have June 22nd, 2026, our regular meeting. That was the night before the community conversation about. To obtain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve June 22nd. Meeting minutes.
I'll second. Second by Jeremy. All right, any discussion? Good job, Lisa. All right. Hearing none, seeing no hands online. Lisa, we're just gonna do roll calls on these because I hate the hybrid splits.
No problem.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Marshall,
Yes.
Mr. Brewer,
Yes.
and Mr. Bacon,
Yes.
Mr. Brothers,
Yes.
Ms. Grosjean,
Yes.
and Mr. Tahan,
Yes.
and Mr. Zelonis,
Yes.
and all in favor.
Beautiful, thank you. All right, next up, the minutes from July 3rd, 2026. That was a special meeting. Virtual only. Do I have a motion to approve? Or I'll entertain a motion to approve, whether you're supposed to.
The motion to approve the meeting minutes from July 3rd, 2026.
I will second that one. And discussion. That was virtual. There was really one item on the agenda besides schedule coordination. And that was land clearing approval, so that we keep that working with. Thank you guys for being willing to accommodate that meeting on short notice and on a non-scheduled day. All right. No comments? Let's do it. Let's vote on it, Lisa.
Mr. Zelonis. Mr. Zelonis,
Yeah, come back around.
oh. Mr. Tahan,
I'll abstain. I wasn't at the.
okay. Ms. Grosjean,
I abstain, not present.
and Mr. Brothers,
I'm gonna stay as a present.
and Mr. Bacon,
Yes.
and Mr. Brewer,
Yes.
and Mr. Marshall,
Yes.
and motion passes.
Nope.
Oh,
No.
Forgot to launch.
Hold on.
yeah.
Mrs. Alonis, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Now motion passes.
Thank
Thank you.
Just for clarity for minutes, you do not have to attend a meeting to vote on minutes. You just have to read them. People that will probably adjust something. If you watch a video, you could make a suggestion, but you can all vote on it.
Thank you, Phil.
But it wasn't, I didn't see the video, so.
Then that's fine.
Yeah. You're always welcome to say anything. Just,
Huh?
you do not have to.
All right. All right, thank you, everybody. So next up, contract status and approvals at 4D. What you have in front of you is the executed agreement for supplemental services from Colliers that we approved with that meeting on the 22nd, I believe. Showing that change. Mike, Mike McCoo, are you available online?
Yes, sir.
All right, last I saw was still, Tecton's contract was still sitting with lawyers.
Yes, and I'm quickly trying to scan back through the emails. I'll try to check it while we're in the meeting. But yes.
Okay, thank you. We will, I swear we're trying to move that along. With that said, we have your invoicing and obviously that's all working out, so, hey, it bothers me too.
No
So,
problem.
No problem, we'll get there. Beyond that, there are nothing else from a contract standpoint currently. All right, next up, SBC Finance Report. You guys have a copy of that. We work with the business office. This is up to date, including it captures an invoice that we're about to approve next, just because I assumed that was good to capture it. But it's set up so that, all of the kind of standalone one-off items, are obviously expenses or encumbrances above the top two lines, and then we're tracking the POs for Tecton and Colliers, and providing running balances, remaining balances on the approved contract values. So we've expended almost $72,000 to date. We've encumbered almost 90,000. We have a balance of just over 38,000. Left of $1,000 approved for committee use. So we are on budget, under budget, but we do have some expenses moving forward. So we just need to be cognizant of it, as we continue to advance this work. Any thoughts, questions? Then we will make sure we have a habit of updating this regularly ahead of meetings. Now that we have a clean and up-to-date copy. All right. Hearing none. Let's go on to invoicing 4D. There is, the next three pages are the invoice that we've received for Colliers project leaders for their work through June 30th, 2026. Again, that's tracked under their contract value. The encumbrance we already have against it, so.
On the expenditure report for the encumbrance, does that figure in what the added fees or
Yes,
Colliers and
it
I was
does.
just trying to see where it was.
It does. Their line items down there. You see the ad services contract amendment
Oh, I can see.
there and there, and so it increased the balance.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got you. I see it.
Yeah, it took a minute. We just wanted to make sure we had this set up so we can
Yeah.
see remaining contract value.
Yeah, I see it now.
And this already factors in the financial report already accounts for this as in the balances, assuming we're gonna address it tonight. So with that said, do we want to make a motion to approve this? I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve the invoice from Colliers Project. Invoice number is 000119261. From Colliers Project Leaders, in the amount of. Final value $14,817.03 for professional services rendered through 6/30/2026. No, sorry,
No.
I amend that.
No, that's the bit.
Holy cow,
Last page.
I apologize.
That's outstanding receivable.
I would like to correct that motion. Thank you. To say, for a value of $7,266.25. For professional services rendered through 6/30/2026. Thank you for the catch. Everyone want to second that? I'll second. Seconded by Adam Berg. Any discussion? We did because I just made that mistake, I did follow up with the business offices, planning on cutting a check for that in their next check run, next week.
One other, I didn't see it now on the agenda, the proposal for the geotechnical services. Mike is working the site plan.
It's in here.
Is it on there?
And geotechnical investigation, 5G. Great.
Oh, okay.
We can
Okay.
approve, it's,
Okay, I didn't know if you were gonna
discuss it as
approve it
part
under
of the due
contract.
diligence.
Okay.
Or at least that was my intent. All right, so move seconded, let's do another roll call.
Mr. Marshall,
Yes.
Mr. Brewer,
Yes.
Mr. Bacon,
Yes.
Ms. Brothers,
Yes.
Ms. Grosjean,
Yes.
Mr. Tan,
John?
I'm sorry, yes.
and Mr. Salonis,
Yes.
and all in favor.
Beautiful. Thank you, everybody. All right, new business, good stuff. So I will. First up on the agenda is 5A, community conversation, FAQ document review. You have this somewhere, it is a separate today. It looks like this. It's probably, it came in late, so it's probably a separate item in your file. With that said, I'll just, I'll give a brief summary and then Jeff, I'll let you kind of.
Sure.
Summarize I instructed this, so, the Texon team is more going to pull together the questions that were submitted by people and that were asked at the community conversation event. Pull together an FAQ document, we can ask questions so that we can hopefully get some of the most common questions out there to the public. This is a lot of information. We did look at an earlier draft of this, in the last working group meeting we had. And I think, Jeff, I'll let you speak to it, but the hope was that the structure of this now.
Yep.
Just to try to simplify, provide a direct answer and then additional supplemental information kind of below that line. How this gets implemented or posted to our website and shared is I think another question that we have to work through.
Right.
But I'll
Yeah, no,
hand it to
you
for
did
that.
yeah, you gave a good summary. So I screen shared, what's up on the screen is a draft document. So we arranged, all the questions from the community conversation on the 23rd, with the question, the abbreviated answer, and then in the light gray is an extended, I guess, explanation, and then with links to, documents so that if somebody's really interested in a more detailed answer of that particular question, they have the material and the locations from where to find it. So we went through and basically listed each one. There's this document about 11 pages. And they're more or less, we tried to group them in, I guess, in categories related to the questions that we received that evening. And then towards the end of this document, actually, I think we might have ended up taking out some of the basic questions that FAQs at the moment, because it was already 11 pages. So, so where we are with this is considered a draft. Towards the tail end, there's some typical questions that we often hear from the community, so we added those in further on, deeper into the document, but it's for the committee to review, make sure it sounds accurate to the responses. So we basically recorded the notes, provided the responses and did the research to give you the more detail in the kind of the lighter gray shade there. So we'll take any comments, maybe over the next week or so. And if there's any edits, we're happy to do them and then give you a final PDF.
I would like to get this out, so if you guys have the opportunity to review this week by, I don't know, let's say by Friday end of the day. Send along any comments and I can compile them and ship off kind of a consolidated version to Jeff with capturing everybody's consensus thoughts. What I will suggest, just giving a link to this or ask Jeff, is I'm wondering whether we want to have kind of we had talked potentially about either linking to the question, meaning somewhere like listing the having the subject categories with the questions alone below with a link that basically gets you to that point.
Yep.
in the document. I think that would help people immediately find what they're looking for instead of searching for where question 26 is in this.
Yeah, we can definitely do that at the
And then
beginning.
let them focus and drill down on what they want to pay attention to.
Absolutely. So basically the list of all the questions, you click on the question, it goes right.
Yeah, by your subject, by your master subject, like, I don't know how you have these grouped. You have these grouped, but I don't see any like.
Yeah,
headings, but
yeah,
you
headings.
get-
Okay. All right, we will definitely do that. Yep. So as far as content, yeah, if anybody has comments on the content, you can certainly take those questions. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you for being so comprehensive with this. Great. I like the new design. I do too. So thank Antonia, because then I should put a lot.
I will not take credit. She put most of them.
All right, so I will, yeah, I would like to endeavor to get this out ahead of this meeting on the 22nd, if we can. Understanding that, this way these people have it, available, so. Comments by Friday, we'll try to turn it around and get, ahead of that so that we can have copies at the next.
That would be ideal to have,
That'd be great. And that's some of that.
Jim, I'm sorry, what document are we looking at? Was this distributed on that email?
It was
From
a
over-
separate email. Yeah, it came in late today, John, so I sent it to you late. I forwarded it from Jeff about 4 o'clock, maybe.
Okay. All right, thanks.
I can refresh it, or if you have trouble finding it, let me know and I'll make sure I resend it to you.
No, no, I've got it. I didn't have it downloaded. I had the others. Thanks.
Okay. Any other thoughts, questions?
Where will this live?
It will live on our website,
Okay.
probably front and center. I'll also share links to it far and wide, and we'll probably make a direct link or QR on whatever next mailers we may have. That'd be my suggestion. So. All right. Thank you, Jim.
Sure.
All right. Project budgets. Dun, dun, dun. So this was sent in 2 parts. The first was sent with the base information. With the meeting information I sent out over the weekend, and find it, it should be in your packet. Mine is not in order. No, that's okay. I just gotta make sure I can get you the right page to start us off with.
I think it's the staple.
It's a separate stable piece. Or paper clip.
Did that not fit?
No, I think we're the same thing.
This one, right?
Yeah.
We got 2. No, we got 3 actually, no? Yes, we got 3. 1. This is your basic project budgets and project summary. Did they not have it?
No, they should have.
Okay,
I handed them separate. They're at the bottom, they're in the separate stack to your packet.
they're the stapled and paper clip on, so.
If you don't, I'll bring you another one.
Alright. Alright, so you have 3 pieces. One is, the master project budgets that, Colliers, it's got to put together from Colliers, and the cash flows. So these are the budgets that went to the Munistat, basically the town's financial advisor to structure our debt service plans. You have those. And it's a draft, or it's not a draft, but it was their first run. Which you'll see in front of you, it's the blue border top bottom from Munistat. And then the third document is the break fix cost options that the Tecton team has helped to summarize. And there are 2 versions of that. The second version, the one that's in the separate packet, is the current one, or the good one. That has some additional slides attached to it, and I'll let Jeff get to that in a second. But I wanted to just talk through where we're at with the budgets, and what we're trying to get through ahead of Board of Finance on Thursday. Project budgets have not changed. As of right now, they do not capture any geothermal, they do capture solar. That hasn't changed since we started preparing these budgets. They're the same budgets that were in the community conversation event. You guys just have this for reference. How that was incorporated in the Munistat structuring. So what she did is she has prepared two debt structuring scenarios for each of the three primary building options we're looking at. I have asked her to simplify this and just do the more advantageous option. So it would be the second option for each of the three project scenarios. Has a lower cost to town, it's structured more economically. So you have the debt servicing, the proposed debt servicing schedules for each of those three options, and also the scenario 4, which is the break fix restore building, the level 1 and 2 priority repairs. What that looks like in debt servicing and total cost to town. The cells I will point you to. If you go to page 5 of that Unistat document. I will note all of these, similar to what we did for the initial pass at the new building and new site option that we presented at the community conversation event. These are all structured so that the capital reserve savings we have offset the tax impact until such time as the consolidated school is operational. That is the strategy behind this. It is so that we can defer any tax impact until such time as we're able to capitalize on efficiencies through consolidation. So she gives, again, I've asked her to narrow this down just to option 2, 4, 6, and 7. So the single most advantageous option for each of the three scenarios. And she only did one for break fix because that was just the way it was structured. What you'll see, so again, there's zero, the way, based on our capital reserve for all of these options except for the break fix, there is no increase or impact to the mill rate until 2032. And then based on the durations and the structuring, they all have different durations and impact depending on what you're doing. Long story short, if you go to the last 7 pages, there's basically detail for each of the options. The light blue bars to the far right. These pages, the next 7 out. And I am not a financial advisor, so I'm doing the best I can here, and bear with me, but we'll be able to answer all of these questions as we go. That the cost of the new debt service, without any offsets, without any capital reserve savings applied, is the pink column. The darker pink column includes the retiring library bond. It's almost irrelevant for this conversation at this point, but we are not. This has been updated so that retiring debt for the library bond is not being credited to the project. Does that make sense? The way it was structured in the first pass, she had leveled out our debt service, including assuming $160,000 for a library bond was retired. And she had structured the way we used our capital reserve savings, like with $160,000 difference, so we forward to eliminate that.
So, yeah, so it's totally separate.
It's correct.
That goes back into the.
Correct.
Into the general.
So this reflects the project costs in and of itself. And the numbers aren't much different than the earlier draft. This is, depending on which option you're looking at, it's $1 million in 2032, 900,000. It varies depending on which scenario you're looking at. But that light blue column on the right is for each of those options, what the debt servicing looks like, applying the 4.6 million. That's really the number you want. The light blue in all of these is.
That's what we all said.
That's what the 4.6 million applies. Does
that include what we're saving for the $1 million we save every year present?
It does not account for the $1 million that are not gonna be reserved, meaning.
CIP,
Correct.
right? So that comes off of this,
That comes off of the town ledger.
right?
Not-
So it's
Correct.
added to this number here.
It's not, it doesn't factor it in. So if that $1 million comes off the CIP, because we no longer need to save for long-term capital repairs for these things, or.
It comes off, but
It
it's
comes
still,
off the
it comes
top.
off and goes into the bottom.
No.
You need to say this very clear.
Right, this is exactly my point, right?
So, this project, worst case, worst year of the bond, call it $900,000. All right, that's the cost of this project in 2032. Or 2033, depending on the option. What the town will see is the town is retiring $1 million in capital reserve saving a year. So the town budget, just in retiring that capital reserve savings,
The selectmen's budget.
the selectmen's budget balances out this. So there's no tax impact when you factor in the fact that that $1 million is going away. It covers the cost of this fund. In addition to that, this isn't factoring in any efficiencies in operational budget at the school, which is anywhere from $500,000 to $700,000 additional that the town will see as a reduction in the budget attributed to this project. So we need to come up with a simple summary, basically saying this is project cost. This is what the net tax impact of this project is to the town with those two factors built in. That's the way we presented it originally. It doesn't change here. The only thing that really changes, we're not, the library, the existing library debt service is taken out of this equation. Well, it's obviously a complex thing that's why I want to simplify these to the four most effective options, so that we don't have seven, so that there aren't questions, because there's two scenarios. One of them, they just budget the debt differently for each project. One of them is better than the other. We're just going to present the better one. That would be one debt service schedule for each project option.
Jim, with the 4.6 million, is that what we've been saving in CIP?
3.6 with another $1 million. You have 3.6 after this year's approved budget, give or take.
Yep.
With another $1 million still on the schedule for the final year of that 5-year commitment that CIP had done so many eons ago now, but.
Thank you.
What you just stated needs to be when this actually.
Correct.
Just needs those four.
It needs
bullets.
those points.
So
It's
we want,
really critical.
correct, I want this for the Board of Finance on Thursday, or for this streamlined version of this, because they need to see this information clearly. We want to do a summary sheet. Hopefully between now and then, time allows. That basically takes these, similar to what they did before, and erase the four options with. Cost of project, cost after offset, mill rate impact. Simple. Those are the numbers, and I mean, long story short, any of these consolidated project options will result in fiscal advantage to the town in the long run. What I will. So separately, what she did run, even though it's kind of an odd effort, given that it's so much more expensive than the rest. The break fixed option, the cost for repairs was also run based on information I'll let Jeff speak to, because he ran those numbers. So scenario 7 is the break fix cost. Option 7, sorry. Scenario 4, the break fix, option 7. What you can see is a tax impact as early as 2028, assuming that if a consolidated school project fails, they're gonna need to find something to do immediate projects, because we're at that point. So you see it's like a 0.65 mill rate, jumps up to 1 in 2031. It's an increase of 1.6 mils. And it increases up to 4.45 mils. It's the highest number I see on here in 2034. Compared to 1 mil for any of the consolidated project options. We have. Without the adjustments, yeah, so zero, so it's almost neutral for consolidated or cost advantageous reductions to the town with all the offsets applied for a consolidated school project. The repair of the existing schools is a $4.5 million increase by 2034. Which is why we're here.
So we want to look at option 2, I guess it's scenario 1, option 2, scenario 2, option 4, scenario 3, option 6, scenario 4, option 7.
Yep, those 4 are the options that we're gonna send. Those are the best. Those are the best directors. So, with that said, we wanted a way of kind of elaborating how we got to that break fix, and we asked kind of Jeff to summarize that and do the break fix equivalent of the cash flow. Assuming that the project costs, the priority 1 and 2 projects will need to be implemented over the next 10 years. We asked Tecton to take a look, and I'll let him just kind of speak to his methodology and priorities.
Sure, so, thanks, Jim. So what's on the screen now is where we started the analysis. The clip with the spreadsheet is from the 2024 report. Scott then went through this for circling projects that were eligible and ineligible projects. So the difference between the renovate is new and the 2 new options, those are called priority projects. These would be to the extent they were reimbursable would be called non-priority projects by the state.
Just speak up a little bit, Jeff.
Sure. So what we did is the 2024 report captured all 5 priorities. What we went through is just totaled up those priorities, right? So in 2024, they were all 5 totaled around $61.5 million. We then went through this list and just captured the priority 1 and 2 items and separated them into buckets of eligible and non-eligible projects so that you can get an effective reimbursement rate from the state. So the priority 1 and 2 items totaled around $41.9 million.
That's both center and all.
Both projects, both buildings, excuse me. And then the analysis was such that if you put and take the eligible projects and put them into a bucket, the eligible work's around $11.3 million. And the ineligible work is 30.6. So that's where we got this information was from the 2024 reports. And the next few slides are really just priority 1 and 2 items, which are for both buildings, both existing buildings, but they're primarily in topics, health, safety, code related items.
Yeah, the highest priority.
Highest
Off
priority.
this. The eligible work is what's reimbursable.
Correct.
Correct.
The eligible work.
And the ineligible work is fully borne by the town.
That is correct. That is correct. And that's the primary reason why you see many communities head towards a renovate as new. If they get renovation status, or they build a new building, if they get renovation status, they get more of the components of the building that they renovate as eligible for reimbursement. So what we did here in this slide was on the left side, the break fix cost summary for Center Elementary. We put them into buckets because you wouldn't do all of the priority 1 and 2 projects in a year or 2 years. So we put them in a 1 to 3 year time frame, a 3 to 5 year, and then 8 to 10 year time frame. Same thing for Hall Memorial. And what we did is we applied an escalation factor at 4.25 compounded annually. So obviously, as the further you get out, the larger the escalation. The project costs include a 10% contingency and a 20% soft cost, which is pretty much industry standard for the design related components and all the costs to deliver the project. So when you total all of these up from in a 10-year window, when you apply the math for those priority items, the total project cost is about $34 million of the work that's eligible, you're about 30 to 35%, of that work. So the total cost to the town, when you do the math, or on the left side of the slide here, is $23 million. And again, the reason why these numbers have changed is because we were asked to spread it out over a 10-year period. And then it's the same philosophy and structure on the right-hand side of this slide, which is Fall Memorial. So the 1 to 3, obviously, the numbers are a little bit larger building, a bit more complex. 1 to 3 is 8.9, 3 to 5 is 15.6, and the 8 to 10 year list grew to 34.8. So when you add that up, it's 59.3. You do the same application of what of those projects are eligible, then you apply the percentage, and the estimated cost to the town is 37.4. So again, this is the same items that the community has seen back in 2024. We've escalated them up and stretched out the implementation or the fix of those over a 10-year period and multiplied the effective state reimbursement. So we did this analysis based on the request of the committee, and that's kind of where this landed.
And just bring the discussion up, going beyond a 10-year period. It is really.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly can. I think the escalation factors, the predictability gets a little bit confusing. So when you want to look at more detailed buckets or components in the building, so the original estimate in 2024 was broken up into, on the right side of this slide, this is for Center Elementary. They broke it into site and utilities, building envelope, building interior ADA accessibility, building systems, which is the mechanical systems, building security. So you can kind of see where those numbers are. We simplified the numbers for this chart so that you can see the order of magnitude. And then again, same structure as what I had mentioned in the previous slide, the 1 to 3, 3 to 5, 8 to 10. And then the estimated cost to the town, you can see at the bottom there. So this isn't suggesting that this is the way that you want to implement them. This was a response to the question, if you grab this list and stretch it over a 10-year period, what would that look like from a dollars and cents perspective? So left side of this slide summarizes it the same way that you saw on the previous summary. And then for Hall, it's the same structure, same components, and then we broke them into the same yearly categories. Same math applies. The estimated cost to the town is on the bottom right hand of the slide, and then the total cost summary is on the left hand. So obviously, as you stretch these priority projects out over a 10-year period, the costs do grow. I think this just illustrates when you go with non-priority projects, there's a lot of what we call ineligible costs, or you're not eligible for a lot of the reimbursement that you would otherwise receive if you proceeded with either a renovate as new or a construction. So,
And as a point of comparison, any of the 3 project options for the consolidated school would cost the town is under $10 million compared to either one of these, either 23 million for Center, 37 for Hall, and that's just priority 1 and 2 projects. That doesn't even cover all of the identified capital repairs, priorities 3 through 5. And also, quite frankly, even if we only got the half of this, it's still triple the cost of a consolidated school project for this town to try to implement these repairs.
I mean, the real differentiator obviously is the reimbursement. You know, it changes quite significantly with the type of projects and grants that you're pursuing. So, think of the question. Yeah.
So we'll do, if we were to pursue these fixes, what would it impact the UI of the building?
That energy usage?
Yeah, what would you predict?
Well,
It's repairs, not whole upgrade, it's a whole lot.
Okay,
Windows.
just an ask.
I guess it depends. I would start, a suggestion would be you would protect your envelope first. Then you would then go into the building systems. And then you would then continue with the remainder. As far as a priority within this prioritization chart, you will realize some energy savings, of course, but it's gonna be spread out over a period of time because you're gonna, if you start with the roofs first, then that means roofs and insulation, then you likely want to look at windows, envelope, and sealants. You're not gonna really fully realize the savings until you do the mechanical system. So it will get there. It won't get you there as quickly or to the fullest extent, but you'll be more energy efficient. It's just gonna take a longer time to get there.
Right, but I was saying, yeah, relatively speaking, I think EUI was looking, it was like 206 for center and 129 for all. Those are horrible right now.
Yeah, I'm not,
But I mean,
yeah.
I'm saying even if we get them better, half better,
Yeah.
it's still way worse. What's your predicted for the new or the new one site?
So we typically see in today's buildings, whether they're renovated as new or new, in the mid-20 range. New buildings we can get in the low 20s, high teens. Quite honestly, if the new energy codes come into play, you're gonna have to get in that range anyway.
So conservatively 25-ish.
Yeah, that's really.
So that's still like way far away from what the other buildings are.
Yeah, most older buildings are, you see those numbers that.
So even if we did all this stuff, our energy usage and our operational costs would not drop dramatically comparative to the new facility.
Yeah, there'll be significantly more long-term energy savings for the brand new facility than it were.
Yeah, I just want to make that clear. Even if we do this stuff, we're not gonna get operational savings anywhere close where we would.
That's true.
I apologize if I missed this. I was wondering I see you have the 10% design contingency. Is there a budget line for, where the students would be going for, being displaced into, like someone mentioned earlier about the trailers and all that kind of stuff, because those expenses would obviously be significant and would take a decent amount of time. So, and honestly, I even question the 10% design contingency, that it would even be enough, given there is so many unforeseen, conditions in these older buildings. And I know there's already issues with radon and things like that. So just something that I was wondering.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. These numbers do not include the temporary relocation into modulars or something like that for the students. These would be kind of live within the envelope you have.
Phase the work.
You would phase the work. But we didn't include additional costs related to temporary modulars to move students completely out. There would be built into these costs are phasing, logistics, sequencing, but not temporary space.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Thank you, Michelle. So these 1, 3, 3, 5, and 8, 10, that is what Munistat did for their financial projections. I had them basically, or we had them basically say, we're bonding a certain amount, whatever the two combined was for down to 3. So center and hall, that worked for years 1 to 3, we're bonding that. And then in year 3 to 5, we're bonding another, we're bonding again. And then further in the out years, we're bonding again. We did apply the $4.6 million early on in the process, which is why you see the impact is, under $1 million for the first 3 years before it starts to jump. When we start running out of cash. So the same metrics, like the cash flow is really driven by this phasing. Instead of a true cash flow for the project, but it's got to get together with the other ones because it's multiple projects and it gets a little cumbersome. So we're gonna try to summarize, we'll share this with Board of Finance on Thursday. We'll summarize the highlights, the net impact for each of the 4 projects, 3 projects plus the break fix. And any simple, this is what you're looking at, here's all the supporting information if you need it or want it. then that's what we'll put out there eventually.
We, including the operational obsolescence.
Yeah, okay, similar to what we did last time, we gotta figure out a way of really. If people wanna see both the impact over time. We wanna be able to relay that there is no impact until 2032, and at that time.
On the best.
The offsets are. It's more than. So.
So the earliest we would see that differential from the reduction of operating costs would be the new on new.
Actually, it's a little earlier,
First year in.
20, depending on the time, it could be 2030, 2031, right? What's our schedule for new on new?
Yeah, so we wouldn't see that.
Buildings operational.
2030, I know you won't see
2031.
Another one, I don't see, I think it's been here.
The year before that, something like that.
It's a rental as well.
I think it was 2030 and 2032, no?
That's when they were done, but you can't find the impact because it's then following year.
It's much friends.
Because the following budget again.
Yeah, so, yes, so we'll have to,
Right.
yes. So it comes in, long story short, the savings come in.
A year
the
after
new
it's open.
Earlier, yeah, they come in earlier than of course, that we run out of money, it's zero effect. Meaning, so we get a year of even additional savings, operational savings before. The highest.
Foundation is 2033.
Which is better, because that's more flexibility for the town. So. That is where we're at today, I know it's a ton of information, but I wanna thank everybody for getting us to this point, where we have this level of detail that we can start to share with the community over the coming weeks. Well, great.
And can I just be really blunt and say that?
Yeah.
That rate fix option will never, ever, ever happen.
Yep.
Nothing close to that will ever happen.
Agreed, we can't afford it.
I mean, so just needs to be said that. There's no way you can spin that break fix option. And not spend $10 million.
And that's why we've had years of bipartisan people working to get this consolidated. Reimbursement rate to get these more advantageous conditions.
It's also why our CIP, why it sat at $500,000 or whatever that crazy number was for X number of years. There was never enough money to do all the projects need to be done. And that shows that.
Yeah, I think if we don't take advantage of this, we won't have money to do anything else with the operating costs. We're finding it now with the referendum, so.
Yep.
I think that cost fix is very not, I think it's conservative. It's a conservative, I think it's gonna be well more than that.
I agree with you. The break fix.
The break fix, I think he's very, I think it's conservative on that. I mean, I personally think that's conservative.
Well, yeah, it's not, I appreciate the personal firewall here, but, yeah, I agree.
Jim, if I may, just to clarify, just so
Please.
people don't get confused. So on the Collier's summary that we did, the bottom one was that CIP break fix option. But what I did, instead of the detailed analysis that Jeff did, requested by putting in over 10 years, I assumed all the construction would be done in a similar time frame to either the renovation or the new construction. So it was midpoint of construction 2029. So it was all condensed. So that's why you see the numbers. So when you compare the number on the Collier's summary to what Jeff just put out, because he's now amortized it over 10 years, you can see how much more, even more costly that gets than trying to do a very condensed.
So if we did it all, if we did all of that work as a single project, what was the base?
It was about 30.6 town share.
In 5 years.
If it was done, if all of that priority one
and
two
two.
work were done.
One
in
and two.
one shot,
Over about a 2-year period,
it's triple the cost.
about 30.6 million.
Yeah.
If it's stretched out, it's even greater.
If we do it separately, it's gonna be more expensive too.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it. Operational.
2 schools in 2 years.
You know, I was just trying to do it,
No, I
compare it in the same time frame for, yeah.
No, I get it.
You know, I mean, even if we cut that in half, 15 million, it's still more than what it would be otherwise for the other option.
Yeah, there's no scenario where they say something.
It's not gonna be, schools will not be anywhere near what the new school will be, even with these repairs, but I think this value is the comparison. This is if we do not choose a plan, then this is our alternative. This is we default to this. Well,
Exactly why we did
or
it.
to.
Yeah.
Putting it into the operating budget and see what we.
And that's also why, even though it seemed like a fruitless endeavor, I asked Munistat to prepare a debt servicing structure for it, because people need to see it alongside all the others, right? It's, we owe that to the community to kind of really go into detail that, as apples to apples, again. So. Shall we move forward?
Yes.
You guys good?
Did have one thing, we talked previously about the structure.
Speak up, I didn't hear you, and I didn't.
Do analysis for bus ownership. Previously.
I don't know where you're going with that.
Or do different options for the roof. Materials.
Oh.
Building or?
For new building.
Yeah.
For renovation.
Yeah, I think, I mean, that probably goes a little beyond.
Right. But I wasn't sure if that's in the numbers or not currently, but I mean, the variance in it is small, probably to compare it in the overall project, but.
You mean the types like metal?
Something more
Yeah,
durable versus an
The,
EPDM.
the cost to the town, if we have to replace the roof 3 times or 2 times versus.
What are you gonna do, like wait and get a 50-year roof? I mean, what are we talking?
I think metal would be.
So I think detailed life cycle costing you would do that during the design process typically. And it wouldn't be just for the roof, it would be for, insulation,
Right.
finishes, building systems, you'd get, option A, B, C.
So what's presented in the budgets, I guess the simple question, the simple response is what's presented in the budgets is a typical cost.
Is
for
a
new
minimum
construction.
cost, yeah,
Cost.
yeah.
Okay, is that within the variance of our range then?
Yeah.
Given this, okay.
What's the life of the roofs?
Yeah.
Well, the state will only reimburse for a 20-year roof. Typically, a lot of times what we do is we'll do a bid alternate for a 30-year roof, and the delta is minimal. And, on an average project, it may be $10,000 to $20,000, but getting an extra 10 years in warranty on a roof for a school building, it's a great deal. So, when you get into the construction phase, you can look at doing alternates for roofs, but the state will only reimburse for a 20-year roof.
Up to.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
Well, minimum.
Minimum.
No, but they won't reimburse you for a 30-year, but that's why we bid it as an alternate. So we know it was $1 million for this one, $1,050,000 for this one, $50,000 to get 10 more years on the roof. Slam dunk.
Unless the system already comes with it, so like a shingle, 30-year shingle.
Yeah.
Or like a 40-year standing seam, that's different, because you're not gonna ask for a 20-year if they give you a 40, it's not the standard.
Right.
So but it is, Scott's right, with, EPDM or membrane roofs, they'll pay 20, you pay the delta, but it's usually.
Yeah, it's minimal.
But we'll look at all.
Okay. Yeah, I just, if we have to replace it for bonding, it's just not.
Yep.
No cost.
You shouldn't be replacing a roof. Unless there's an insulation issue or smokers.
That's some operational issue we better
Yeah.
address.
But yeah, so I was just.
Yep.
Thank you. That's all.
All right. Thank you guys, and thank you everybody thank you for the detailed analysis of getting us from A to B. Even though we got a C, D, and E to go, but we'll get there. All right. So tangent to this budgetary discussion, but project related and important for us. Moving on, geothermal, discuss potential project considerations. So this is not something we necessarily need to make any sort of decision or commitment to at this current time. But, and I'm not even gonna try to speak to this. You wanna talk about geothermal? There you go, you got it up there.
This is relatively fresh information as of this morning from the engineers who were asked to look at three systems. So there's a lot of information I'll walk you through.
So disregard what you have in your package.
The basics. Yeah, based on some communications late last week, I asked the engineers to update the numbers. They did so this morning, so I put this slide together to reflect that. So the gray bar here is the baseline system, basically gas boilers and chillers. So you have the system type, this is building systems, mechanical systems. The system type column, the initial cost, what's available for utility rebates, as we know it today. The initial cost less the reimbursement, less the rebates, excuse me. I'll try to go through this quickly and just get this guy down. There we go. The estimated cost to the town utilizing 92.5% reimbursement rate, base reimbursement rate, just for comparison purposes. The energy cost per year, so what it will cost for utilities to run a building of this size per year. There are some caveats to that, but I'll get into that in a minute. First cost is premium, so over the baseline. I'll show you the comparisons, and then energy savings, and then your payback. So again, gray is the baseline, gas boilers and chillers, about 8.6 million to install. Utility rebate not available, really minimal. So the initial cost is 8.6. After the reimbursement, it's $650,000 cost to the community for that system. And you'd pay around 190,000 per year for the energy usage. The next system we looked at, so these are the two, I will say, most, I guess, common systems, VRF, VRV, air source heat pumps, more or less. The initial cost is, believe it or not, lower, 8.1 million. There are some rebates available, so the initial cost after the rebates is 7.7. You do the math on the reimbursement. So that cost to the community for that system, the VRF, VRV, is $580,000 per year. This is typically, it's an all electric system, and we're seeing rates go up. So hence the reason for the larger energy cost per year for electrical, from an electrical standpoint. These are all notwithstanding the fact that there's $2.4 million in all your current budgets for photovoltaic. So when I say it's costing you $193,000 a year, it's really not costing you $193,000 per year if you proceed with the $2.4 million. But for this slide only, I wanted to compare these systems.
So this is how much energy they will use, regardless of where we get it.
Yes, regardless if you were to buy it from the utility bills that we use. So your first cost premium, obviously, it's less expensive than the base system, but more expensive to operate. The last system that we looked at, and we can certainly look at others, but this, again, is one that we've implemented on, I'd say 50-60% of our more recent schools. Chill beam, geothermal system. Initial cost is more, it's $10 million. There's more rebates. So the cost after the rebates from the utility company, 9.2 million. Then you do the math for the reimbursement, around $690,000 for this type of system. It's a lower energy cost per year because it's again, mostly all electric, I would say, no combustion, depending on where you get your fuel. Same caveat as far as photovoltaics, that kind of stuff. But the energy cost per year is 40 grand less than what we're considering the base system. So your energy savings are about $31,000 a year. So the payback it's pretty obvious. It's like a year and 1.2 or 3 years. The big item that moves the needle in the payback is obviously the reimbursement. When you're applying a 90-ish or plus % reimbursement, that changes your opinion on some of these options. But that's the analysis that we're asked to do. This is short of and doesn't include any photovoltaic, but that gives you kind of a synopsis if you were to look at it just purely within comparing systems. That's what our engineers came up with. I know it's a lot of information. They have a very detailed spreadsheet. I tried to simplify it, but at the end of the day, your payback on a EUI of likely around 20 for the last system. So energy usage intensity. There's all kinds of discussion that we heard about the community conversations about what systems are better than others. We don't need to debate that now, but I just wanted to show you the numbers. So
Did that have a dedicated air system, outside air?
The VRF, the GRV, actually, all of them have a DOAS units. Yeah, all of them will have DOAS units.
Yeah, for compensation.
Yep. Well, yeah, and fresh air exchange for all the places.
New
Yeah.
code.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have so many air kids per hour.
But it's 100% outside air. You don't recirculate air. You capture it. With heat exchangers and things when you exhaust it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so there's
100%
energy
outside.
deals and stuff like that, but all three of those would have those DOAS, so I didn't, that's kind of a cost. Yeah. Okay. So I know it's a lot, but we'll send you the PDF as well, so you can study it, the detail of it.
So,
Just want to digest that. There.
yeah, well, we can evaluate this over the coming weeks, but the thought, I mean, geothermal usually has an upfront cost that can be prohibitive if you're not talking about the reimbursement rate that we're getting now. It's being explored specifically because at 93 to 95% reimbursement.
Yeah, years past, the state didn't reimburse things like PV and these kinds of systems. Now it's included in your can be included in your grant, so it's something to consider.
What reimbursement rate did you use for the 92 and a half?
I use the same for all three just because yeah, 92. So yeah, a conservative number compared to all the others.
We could see some more improvement that.
You could, but I wanted to be
Where the name of the game is being conservative, considering risk costs. I think because that's, and that's the same in project budgets. There are plenty of incentives. Whether or not we don't use all of the adequate healthy contingency in the project construction budgets. We get incentives from bond premiums. We get a higher rate, we get the 95% versus the 93, all of them reduce those project costs as well. So we're presenting kind of the worst case. Because I think we could, as you guys object, I really want to show what the worst possible impact would be that people are gonna need to accommodate this or that. Yeah, this or that. So.
What's the next step with this?
Well, I want to live with that since we only just saw it today. I think ultimately, rather than have adjust budgets for all of these options, I think when we get to the point where we're narrowing down, or if we narrow down, or the community narrows down, we can do a side-by-side analysis of what geothermal will do for the selected project option.
Makes sense.
I think the key is,
additional something like it's something we can consider. I think it's something we do consider when we have a sort project option. That
Makes sense.
makes sense to you guys?
That makes some resources and money going at all options.
I think that the key is when you bond it though, because the incentives and things will happen after the project is complete and they come out and audit the project. So you're gonna have to bond that cost initially. So even though this is showing significant rebates, those rebates will help offset your debt service and pay down the debt or maybe adjust that final bond premium. But the total cost of it prior to any incentives is gonna have to be included and approved in the budget. Because the incentives won't happen until after it's
So
completed.
it changes the debt service table, which is the other reason why we should probably.
You'll get the reimbursement just not CEOs.
the rebate you get after like a year after.
The rebate runs after, so we gotta carry that rebate offset.
Yeah, for the year.
For the year, which
It wasn't a lot. Or actually it was a pretty good.
It was.
was
$700,000.
400 for the VRF and 800 for the
Differential of that payment.
But it is a lot.
that's your year of consolidated operational savings.
Well, that's sorry. But if you fast bonded over the period,
but it's
Yeah, we have to do this.
You only got carried per year, but you could pay it down on the debt service.
Right, yeah, so.
yeah, you have to structure your debt accordingly to.
You just said that we could, yes, structure the debt, and when that rebate comes in.
You got plenty of time to move on the Senate now.
So there's a lot here.
I don't know, I'm asking that question because I don't know how that impacts what I'm gonna do with operational savings. Because when you make a note on here that says, 1 to 2 year payback on geothermal systems.
Don't let it touch your operational saving. Well, hold
No,
on,
it
that's a
will.
good point.
It will,
That's a good question.
it will, it's 32,000, that's without the solar. We factor that in,
That's why I didn't bring solar in, because
Makes
solar,
it even better, right?
Yeah, it's zero.
yeah,
It's
well,
negative-
solar,
it's negative-
you have $2.4 million, you have.
That's why I'm asking. So our next steps to review this, I think that is important to make the solar with the geothermal. Because if it's a wash to do it, I understand the debt service piece of it. You have to pay for it a little bit more upfront.
You
But
got that slide
the operations
Over 15 years, operation saving
is
tremendous.
Well, and it's not static,
right.
you know,
Because the cost of.
yeah,
fuel.
I mean, yeah, fuel costs are not going down or staying static, they're continuing
Yeah.
to escalate. So-
Yeah, so the ROI is even better.
That's why I wanna make sure if I have to, if I need to do something with that, I don't know.
So,
I don't think you do. The payback was, we were comparing it over the baseline system. Right?
Yeah.
So the next slide here, and we can do this next step if we need to, but we were asked to look at PV, if you recall. And we had 2.4. Scott has $2.4 million in the budget, correct, for photovoltaic. So the size of that system would be about 620 kilowatts. So we will go back and do the analysis based on this to see if that completely offsets the energy consumption or not. It's a simple calculation, just to look at it.
Just makes it that much better, that's why.
Yeah, so in the summer too, we're not running at full capacity, so we have additional maybe 15%.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, and then you gotta factor in, you're likely not gonna store it, you'll probably sell it back, so you gotta figure those deltas. So.
so I think the easy, no, I want to be able to respond to the, like, to provide direction before the bed, basically. And I think my gut's telling me that's something we can break out separately. If you take operational out of your wheelhouse, meaning that's the energy reduction. All your other operating budget line items that you're evaluating savings to can stay. The staffing reductions, that's valid.
Yeah,
Energy consumption.
it's just water, electric and.
Energy consumption zeroed out, we'll get, or don't factor it into your numbers, and we can, the school building committee, I think, has provided a number.
Yeah.
That we can capture in our summaries, that's easiest for us, and there's no confusion, we should own that.
Yeah.
We'll have different values.
Correct, and then we can get the option without the Board of Ed having to, read. But yeah. Thank you, good question. All right, we'll move on to the next 18 things on our list. Yes, all right, excellent, thank you very much, guys. What is next on our list? Milestone schedule, all right, this one goes to you, Scott.
Yeah, and I think really kind of D, E, and F are all in essence tied together to the milestones. But I think we already broached the subject a little bit, just starting with highlighting public outreach opportunities. Again, we stated 6 p.m. Tomorrow at the senior center. Again, pending school building committee member availability. The intent is to have a table with some of the boards at the Wednesday night concert series. So the first of those is July 15th, followed by July 22nd. Again, on July 22nd, at the library, there'll be another community discussion starting at 7 p.m. And then Jim mentioned he's going to be in front of the Board of Finance on July 16th. So those are sort of the upcoming events that we currently have scheduled. We are looking to probably do one more community discussion right now outside of the summer concert series sometime in August, potentially later in August, once a recommendation of a project has been provided by this group to the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Finance, but that location and specific date has yet to be determined. We are currently, if there's no questions, then I'll just kind of go to referendum real quick, or
Before we get there, let's just talk about the upcoming stuff in general course. So tomorrow, senior center. I'm gonna keep it fairly informal. Summarize some of the informational slides that Jeff has done at the community conversation event, and just support opportunity for question and answer. Really just get opportunity for that community group to have a say, provide some feedback. The Wednesday concert in the park, we didn't make last week, but when the CIP meeting we were scheduled for was canceled, I did drive over there and had a chance to talk to Rachel at Parks and Rec. She basically said, yeah, that's great, feel free. They have a table there too with information. Really just a couple of chairs, a table, have information if people want to come up to us and ask questions or find out more. We could be there to do that. They had 80 people or so sitting out there, kids playing. It's great. I think it's a good opportunity for us to just make ourselves available. I can make this Wednesday. I will get a sign up sheet for the remaining 4 Wednesdays so that we can make that happen. But if anybody else is available on Wednesday, I would welcome some company so that my kids can run off and be crazy to fill with it. So, and then Thursday, Board of Finance, we'll share much of the information we just talked about tonight with them. They start getting their take on the debt servicing, bigger picture of that. And then next Wednesday, a week from Wednesday, the 22nd, that will be more formal with our design team and with our professional team here. My expectation and hope for that is that is really more financial based discussion. Once we get through Board of Finance and get some information out, I would love to be able to present this in a community conversation type event. So that people have the opportunity to ask professionals questions, just like that last one that was so successful for us. That's a level, yeah. I did reach out and to the library director. That space is available for the 22nd, so that's all set. He's holding it for us. The library is now charging a fee for the use of that space. If it's not during the regular business hours, it's $25 because of the budget reductions and their sensitivity. So we will encumber $25 to hold that space, which I have no problem with. Just wanted to raise it with you guys. I will fill out, there's some form I have to fill out. I'll fill that out on behalf of the committee, and I will confirm with Steve. They have a projector set up in the room, so it's similar to Washington Emergency Services Facility. The building committee recently had a presentation there. They brought their own stuff. I'll make sure we coordinate that with Steve. Similar setup to last time, just a big square room with the.
So you're gonna take out the summer concert series on the 22nd and fall?
Unless we want to divide and conquer. So if people want to have availability, we left it in there. Is it still a date? If we can get 1 or 2 people to do that would prefer to do that, we can do both. Or we can just focus on the community conversation. So we're running in there's a lot of data, and a lot of meetings and a lot of conflicts. So we are trying to work around, and then the mechanics of the logistics around both the referendum date and like community polling, giving people a chance to select these. We're trying to work through all of that very complex schedule, and it's a lot. So we're taking the dates we can.
We'll get the word.
We'll do this, yeah, so we're not gonna be able to, well. That is a good question. There's no way that's gonna happen in a mail or by next week.
No, how about we post this on our Facebook page, if we can post this schedule on a Facebook page or
We'll post
our pages. I mean, I think the schedule's pretty good. I mean, I just kind of looked at it.
There's a bit more. I think we want to highlight the key community.
Yeah, no, it's
And
good.
that's,
Got questions, question mark, here are the
yeah,
dates.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you could extract the key public dates from this
This?
list
Yeah.
and just post those separately. That would be my recommendation.
Cause Mike could send it out through the email system and I can send it right back. At least you're getting some people through that. You can put it on Facebook.
Let me get that as an action item, just to make sure that we get a scheduling update, up and coming events.
Yeah.
Post.
Put it on the board, transfer station.
Yeah, all right.
Simple. Good question.
Yeah, this is what we did, in this, you have the flyer that Lisa had put together, just that the senior center and human services, put out for the event tomorrow. We also have that on Facebook too, so, yeah, we're posting it up in the senior center.
Yeah, I think you do this with a couple other dates on it.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
down thing.
Yep.
Then last it.
Absolutely. Okay, so now. Thank you for letting me interrupt you, Scott. Let's
No,
go
it's fine.
referendum.
No, that's fine. So, from a referendum standpoint, we recently provided a couple of, referendum language, from a few other municipalities, to the Board of Selectmen's office, for coordination. Right now, we're targeting either the end of September or the first week of October for referendum. Again, depending on, the input we get from the bonding attorney in the process of what has to be included within the referendum question, that may push us to a referendum sometime late September. That's still being defined.
So there's two separate thoughts on that. So we were targeting October 6th. Separate discussions had Mike, the selectmen's office has worked out or talked to our registrars. You guys have one of these email chains starts to outline this, but there was a schedule down the list here. This was the calendar that Mike had started to work out the mechanics of notice dates prior to a referendum. Separately from this, the registrar have a whole separate election and notice set of parameters. They have issues with the October 6th date, largely because of voting machines needing to be for early voting. It's like a couple of days too late from where they need to have the machines kind of cordoned off. Their recommendations were one of two things. They could either push the referendum to December, when we get into people's holidays, schedule and planning. Or alternatively, would considering, and my recommendation would be to move it up a week to September 29th. So everything in this calendar would slide forward a week, pending some other public notice and referendum question. Legal stuff that's going on in the background that we gotta figure out the timing of, and the required notice for certain procedural requirements. So the recommendation to accommodate and to work with the registrars, they have said they are willing to try to do what they can to work with us on October 6th. I think September 29th would make their lives just significantly easier and would avoid any potential for conflict. While still maintaining our ability to have information early September when school's back and people are done with their summer breaks. So I wanted to get your takes on that. If you guys are okay with September 29th, it's just a week forward. It shouldn't change anything related to planning and zoning, the A24 referrals, any of that sort of stuff. But I do think it would be probably advantageous and get us a little further clear of election. Season 2, which may not be a bad thing. I hesitate to say December is a good choice because I don't want to lose people between Thanksgiving and Christmas and that's a little bit at the way I've worked out with you. I'd like to stay out of that. If you guys kind of agree. So I guess I'm asking for your consensus direction to say, let's proceed with 9/29.
That
Yes.
moves this blackout date up
It moves,
16th, or, I'm sorry, pardon me, the 15th.
it moves, so if we held the referendum, everything would move up a week or
So it would be
something.
the 15th. And that doesn't, the
Well-
public hearing would have to go to the.
We're still working that, we're still working all that out, so it
Well,
would.
everything gets pushed up a week.
It should move it should move, so the dates. The dates that Mike is working through legal notice requirements might be a little different than Scott's current.
Right,
Scott's
I
schedule.
understand.
There might be some extended notice, so, but we're looking at. Basically from referendum date. We can do public hearings. An SBC meeting and town meeting basically within 3 weeks prior. That's the notice. So.
That.
September 8th is a DOE meeting that matters.
I'm sorry, yes, sorry.
Jim, have we talked to the registrars in town about their availability for this vote, since we have early voting for the November election also starting around the same time?
We did, that's why we're discussing moving it up to the 29th instead of October 6th, where it was an issue.
That's why I was going through the schedule, because the 7th is a holiday. You go, put that, you will, you got Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah, so
I'm just,
I will so we can work all this out. I think the Board of Selectmen have a meeting. If the 7th is a holiday, they actually have a meeting on the 8th. That would be really one of their call a public hearing meeting based on, I believe, Mike's schedule.
no, it'd have to be the week before.
So Jeremy, look at this one. That's why I said Scott's schedule was not kind of current like this. Yeah. So. If the referendum were moved up a week to the 29th. It basically moves. The. Board of Selectmen. Would be calling a special meeting in all likelihood. The first week in September. Call a public hearing.
Yeah, 31st.
Then that's 2 weeks.
No. It'd be the first, it's the first.
Yeah, the week of the 31st.
The week of the 31st. The 31st is a Monday, or is a Monday.
So they publish, the Blues are publishing dates, so they publish on the 3rd. We'd have a public hearing on the 8th. The town meeting would be on the 15th. And the referendum would be on the 29th. If all of the legal notices that Mike is still working through, that may shift as well. It may be a week earlier on the public hearing or town meeting. What this does speak to, though, is the importance of identifying which option we're trying to notice and hold a referendum on. Because the requirements are different depending on whether there's a land purchase involved, whether there's a variety of factors, and Mike is working through that with council. And Mike, are you on? I thought I saw you.
Sure.
Sorry, I forgot you. You're not in the room, so I blanked that you were in attendance. My apologies. Do you want to speak to this
Right.
at all?
No, you've covered it exactly. Once, I am working on the longer span schedule. As I said in email, that would include all of the possible longer notifications. And one of the unique things is, for example, for land purchase, you have to have not only a longer notification period to warn the townspeople, but you also have to publish it twice in the newspaper. So all of those add a bunch of extra points to that calendar. And so we're trying to make sure we have the play in between all those components right before we send it out and have everyone, counting on it being accurate.
If your point is it's either a week earlier or just the rest of December.
Yeah, that's what it boils down to. My preference, my strong preference personally is a week earlier, but.
Yes. To the comment before about working with the registrars, they're trying to avoid the overlap, particularly with the absentee ballots and early voting, because those requirements are lengthy depending on which event we're talking about, and trying to keep the confusion to a minimum, which is why they're asking to push back to the 29th as opposed to October 6th.
Push earlier to the 29th. Yeah, okay.
And as we're moving back with our dates, that August date, when we'll have a community event, maybe our goal can be to have our decision made and present what we're recommending.
Yeah, so I think the first step is really just identifying whether or not September 29th is where we want to go. And the next step to that is to ask Scott to work with Mike and update all of the calendar dates prior to that, so that we know where those fall between now and our next meeting, hopefully. So that we can plan accordingly. And make sure there's no impacts we're not aware of. Does that make sense for all? All right. So,
on that schedule, can we just put those dates where those the public notices should go out?
yes, that's a good idea.
Yeah, we'll add that once we.
Add that,
Find
yeah,
out,
once
yes,
we actually
absolutely.
add where those public notices gotta be for like the.
Yep.
The first notice for the land, second notice for the land, so we don't miss those dates.
Yep, no, that's.
I will try
yeah,
to have that, Jim. I'll try to have that to you in the next couple of days. It's in my top like 3 priority list.
Excellent. Thank you, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for working through it. I know it's a complex. Better you than me with the legalese. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's fun.
Everything we can just see how it falls.
Correct.
I'm trying to do.
Yeah, it's so I thought, like, again, we needed to kind of set the date so we could work backwards from the referendum. The registrars had a problem with the 6th because of early voting, so we have to move it.
How you do a schedule, you work on that date, work back.
So 29th, and we're going back from there, guys. So.
Jim, I just to throw a reference point in on this, because we're obviously all working very carefully to do this correctly. We got an analysis from one of the state legislative research agencies or something. There are 163 different Connecticut general statutes that reference notification requirements for public hearings. Obviously, of those 163, probably 155 of them are not relevant to what we're talking about, but you have to look at at least the title of every one of them to make sure you haven't missed something that's applicable. And that's why we have been working on this for a week already.
That's why we need to understand all that may or may not be applicable.
Will we have early voting machines for the referendum?
That is a question I don't know. Mike, the question is, will we have early voting opportunity for the referendum?
I have to check and see. I have to check and see what the rules are, because there are different rules for different types of voting as to what gets early voting or not. So I can't answer that right now.
And or absentee ballots.
Yes, sir.
At least absentee, whether early voting is necessary is another story. But if you can answer both, that would be great.
Right, and keep in mind also the eligible voter list is different for this, because it's a different, whereas like an election for a political office is defined as electors of the town, and certain financial and other decisions can be decided by even property owners who don't live in the town. So that adds another layer of complication. We have to make sure that we're using the correct eligible voter list for this.
Correct, because it's a tax impact, so even if you don't live here, if you pay more than $1,000 of property tax, sure, you can vote in this referendum.
That would be one more reason for absentee ballots.
Yep. Okay. So. Thank you for that. More to come over the next week or so. So what that feeds into a little bit is with all of that chaos, we also want to make sure that we afford an opportunity. So moving on to community project preference polling. So we want to make sure that we afford the community an opportunity to provide their official feedback and opinion on the options we're presenting, so that we know we can take it into advisement so that we know which option it may influence the options that we need to recommend to the Board of Selectmen and or Board of Finance. That is our role. We talked about this, well, this is open for complete public discussion or group discussion here. The thought process is we want to do it as official as it is able to be without it being its own referendum. Meaning, we're talking about, what was the date on that? Isn't it here?
So Tuesday, August 4th.
We were talking about August 4th, because we need to get ahead of planning and zoning referrals, making recommendations to the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance in early to mid-August. And we need to get all of this done now before early September, so that we can call public hearings and town meetings that capture the appropriate question with budget values asking for voter feedback. So the thought process, at least what we've come up with in the working group, is that this is a full day, 8 o'clock, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., whatever the normal voting hours are. You do it at Old Town Hall. We have people come in, present their ID, have them checked off, and select the project they prefer the most.
My only concern with like, again, that date is like, we're time vacation season. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I leave 4 days later. I mean, so we have to.
What's the day?
The August 4th.
August 4th.
So I personally, I leave the 8th, I'm gone for a week and a half.
Yeah, a lot of
I'm not
people are
gonna
traveling.
Right.
But I'm not the only one that's taking vacation at that week, but it's time vacation season right before these kids go back to school. August is huge vacation times.
That is unfortunately the reality where, again, it's backing in that.
So
cycle.
I don't know if we do it. Again, I don't know. I just.
Any good time from here till.
No, it's not. That's why this,
Right?
that.
We're all traveling at some
Right.
point.
I mean, but that's where that October 6th date was good, because you could at least put it maybe towards the beginning of September for that, and everybody's back around.
Well, no, because we still have to hit planning and zoning meeting agendas. We have to hit Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance meeting agendas in August. Again, there's a lot of procedural parts to getting this from A to.
I
Says you can't do.
Can you do 2 8-hour ones in like from noon to 8 or something? I mean, that way there gives people time to come home from work and vote, things like that. You do 2 of them, one in end of July and one in August. I mean, it just gives you more.
Is there a problem with the drop-in too, for people that can't do that date?
But
What about absentees or? As long as we can verify their address.
you gotta verify their address and ID, right?
So we don't have people filling multiple, like it's not a poll, it's.
Right,
Yeah,
so.
it's not a poll, right?
It's a.
It's
I don't know if
almost like
that's
referendum, right?
reasonable for someone who's building or not, but it's a way that it's almost like an absentee ballot without being.
That, right, that way there you get, you vote, you get a week off and you vote, at least. You may cover more, you may get more people involved that way. I'm just trying to shotgun ideas out.
No, it's actually a good point.
It's like an absentee ballot. We could do.
You could, if you keep it open and say,
Same
whatever.
process as we use for the referendum or absentee
It's just,
ballot.
it's,
Except the
it's
voting.
the cost of the registered voters to be here for that, right?
So so. I don't mind spreading out. I like the idea of spreading out, giving multiple opportunities to catch people in the summer. I think that's great. Will multiple days be confusing to people? Meaning,
Well, yes, that's.
Yeah, again, we're brainstorming.
It's just
here.
maybe set a date, is who can be there, who can be there. It's-
But before we set a date, and here you can pick up an absentee question.
That's what I think that's just same process as normal voting.
Yeah.
Just, you know, it's the list of eligible voters is different. The.
Doing drop.
Jim?
Yes, sir.
Mike, there's that.
I think if we can staff it or figure out how to staff it, I think the idea of multiple days is a great idea. Maybe just far enough apart that it's 1 week versus the next week. That, you know, so like a Thursday and then the next Tuesday or something like that, so that you are more likely to catch someone who's on vacation 1 week, available the other week. I'm less enthusiastic about the absentee only because I think we talked about really wanting to be sure that everyone sees the same information. And the idea, I think one of the ideas we talked about, you know, I think, you know, that we've been sort of spitballing as ideas is that people have the opportunity to stand in front of the displayed information or a printout, whatever the format is. They stand in front of it, they review the options, they review the pros and cons, and they make their selection. If people are absentee, then that environment is less structured, and there's also more chance that people are voting based on information, you know, that might be social media information or whatever else. So I'm feeling a little cautious about the absentee ballot idea, but I do like the idea of multiple days so that we have more of the community available.
You just follow up with just so that we have an answer on it, Mike, can you follow up with the mechanics or logistics of it for absentee? As a discussion point?
You mean like talk to the town clerk about it?
Yeah, whether it's viable or whether there's anything that
Well,
would.
I mean, it's not, the town clerk's probably not gonna be able to give an official answer because it's not an official vote. Like, it's not like a referendum or a town petition or a town meeting. You know, it's an advisory question to get the, you know, input from the people. But I don't know. I mean, I guess that's part of why we're discussing this out loud in committee, right? Is try to figure this out. I'll talk to Nicole tomorrow and see what she says.
So if we
You
did,
can't, so just for clarification, we can't put multiple ideas on a single referendum.
Sure.
Well, yeah, there's a bunch of complications with that, and it is possible, but like the Secretary of State's office is really against that idea and stuff. It's not impossible. It can be done. It's been done. But it also creates like some statistical problems, and there's some construction issues on how you set up the vote. The Secretary of State's office always pushes you to have simple yes or no votes. They don't even want a third option like yes, no, you know, like we were talking about too high, too low, just right. The Secretary of State's office really doesn't want you even doing those. But you know, again, I'll talk to Nicole tomorrow.
But it'd be separate questions. It would be just, it wouldn't be a yes or no. It would be new school, new site, you would color it in, or you would do renovation as new, or new school on existing site, or a basic pay as you go, or however we call that. A fix as you
A
go.
ballot like that won't work.
And you
That
just
won't
kind
work
of,
at all.
Yeah, the
There-
statistics could really screw you up there because
Yeah.
you could have 24%, 24%, 24%, and 27%. And the 27%, you know, in one example could be a no vote, and the other 70 some percent of the town would have been yes votes, but they were divided between three projects. So you end up with a situation where the 70 some percent of people who want a project are overruled by only 20% of the people who don't want a project because the 70 some percent were split between three projects.
there's also different project costs associated with each of them. There's different noticing requirements depending on property purchase or not. So the timeframes may change.
Yeah, you have to have like the numbers, the cost of the project and those kind of things have to be in the referendum notice. So you have to have a recommended path to take before the final referendum. Otherwise, you can't put those numbers into the notice, which is absolutely like, I don't think we can even do it. I don't think the bonding council would even allow us to vote on a bond if we didn't do that in advance.
You bring up another interesting point, though. I know through some of the discussions this evening, there was consideration of potentially doing a land purchase with the other options, not just the new on the new site, if you wanted to build athletic fields. So right now, everything is just budgeted. The only land purchase is new on new site. The money that we're holding for a land appropriation and then potentially development of additional fields is not in those other two estimates. So I just, because of the discussion this evening, that is going to change not only the estimates, but potentially the notifications. You might be, if you chose, all three might have a notification for land versus just the one option right now. So I'm just, again, just because that was raised this evening, this committee is going to have to consider whether a land appropriation is only associated with new on new, or if you would consider that with the other options, because then we'll have to build that in. And sorry, I didn't mean to like make your brain explode.
No, but that's right. These are the considerations we have to factor in.
So that's kind of a shotgun question to you a little bit, Jeff, too, is the availability of those new parcels and site constraints of those new parcels, grading, et cetera. What's the fit if we're not utilizing building where building is proposed? Or
so
viable
test
field
fit,
space.
test fit field space.
Yeah, I mean, you've got one in the new, you've got one lower on that lower plateau, you've got a field there. So the question is, what could you fit if it was being displaced? Whether it's the baseball field, the softball field, and soccer, what could fit where the potential building location would be? And then we'd have to include those developmental costs of those fields, which, is gonna change the number. It's gonna make the renovation even a bigger delta from the new.
It's gonna make any of the two options utilizing the existing all site.
Right.
Even
More expensive
than the new on the new site. That's an important point to know.
Yeah. Did I hear you say OTA?
Yeah.
Okay, that's also kind of not a site that would normally vote in, although I like the idea of it being there. Okay.
Sorry, that was kind of. So. If we were looking at August 4th and the following Tuesday, August 11th. What does that do to us, Scott? Understanding we can call a special meeting.
Yeah, you'd have to call a special meeting very quickly after the 11th. Because we were trying to hold, hold the 18th and wanted to make a formal recommendation to Board of Selectmen by the 17th. So yeah, you could squeeze it in there, be a special meeting.
All right, we really need the rest of the referendum and hearing notification schedules to make sure we can get all these dates in a row. So I'll try to move that up in my priority list. Although I think the other two things in my top three might also be SBC things.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
You should see the 12 things that are in my top 5 list.
So how do people, we want to try for 3 days if that's a week apart?
I think if we
If
can't.
we can accommodate it,
If we can't do, or it's not practical to do absentee or early voting, then I think limiting people's availability is not where I think we should be more of the time there.
yeah. All right. Mike, I think that's our working target. Is 2 days a week apart.
Would you be okay with the week of the 27th? As this first date in the.
Oh, even earlier?
And the 4th is because you've got your joint meeting on the 27th. Your community conversation piece, I think there's a floating one that may have. If it's done by that point.
So it would be Tuesday, the 28th, and then the 5th.
If you want to do, I think Mike's point was like, could you do it Thursday, Tuesday? So like July 30 and August 4 type thing. You're crossing 2 different weeks.
July 30 is pretty close.
Yeah, but it's just a Thursday and next week if people take over. Yeah, I think that was the annex behind it. Yeah.
I read this wrong, July 30th, it's like.
Good one.
Oh, yeah.
We gonna have the information ready by then? I think so. Good.
And what's,
To the boards and the information.
we had costs.
It's just the mechanics and logistics. Do you think we'll have it ready though?
I think we're gonna have them by the next Wednesday, because that's when our community conversation is.
Okay, I was just a question.
That's the reality of it. We have to have that information out there. We're targeting a community conversation a week from Wednesday, so that's when that summary information is available. That's the information that's gonna be available. And that's it. That's where we're at.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, Mike, the timing's the most critical then. Making sure, because we can either do the first 2 weeks of August, or we could potentially try to capture the first week in August and the last week in July on some day.
Okay. I'm drafting an email to the group right now, adding to the discussion what we just talked about.
Okay, thank you. So what we'll try to do is there's an opportunity, there's a chance I want to meet, have an impromptu next week, kind of settle this if we have information in that time. I don't want to wait all the way until whenever that next meeting is, July 27th, to make that decision official. Virtual. Yeah, it would just be a standalone meeting to set this based on what feedback we get from schedule from Tyler and Mike.
First.
Be next Monday at 6.
And Jim, to my earlier question and email related to this, I think this answers the question that it's time to engage the bond council, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mike, what, you guys meet at 6:30 on Mondays, Board of Selectmen?
Yes.
First and third typically, yep.
Well, 5:30? Or the following day?
The 20th.
I'm talking about Monday, a week from today, the 20th.
20.
Special meeting, 5:30. Sole purpose of locking in calendar dates, community polling option dates, and referendum. And the mechanics ahead of that. We can make it for you.
The other thing we need to get on the schedule then is with the polling, what the notification is for that polling, or how far before that polling date we need to notify. So just one more item we need to coordinate.
So what I will try to do is work up another action item for mailer with key dates. Such as those, so that we get them out. 20th. and say, here are the dates, we'll update the mailer, it goes to print the next day. We get it back a week later. To get to people's mailboxes ahead of August. Saying, I hope.
Which dates are you
That's
gonna,
all.
which dates are we,
I don't know,
which dates are we gonna have on that, man?
whatever we decide on the plan.
I don't think you have time for doing that.
I'm not sure if we will either.
I'm not, yeah.
That's right, if we push it back to the 11th, then we have more time. Instead of the.
Yeah, I think everything, it's advantageous to go first few weeks in August, some way, shape or form, rather than July.
All right, so we're gonna have a meeting on Monday to finalize this.
Do we need to have a meeting on Monday if we just kind of made that call?
But I still think we have some other stuff to decide then still, right? We still have some other bills based on.
I mean, I can post a meeting for calendar coordination and that's our agenda.
Yeah, cause I think August 4th and August 10th are two for that, but it's. Yeah.
All right, let's do that. 5:30. 20th special meeting.
5:30.
Yep, to get out of the way, the board of selectmen meeting at 6:30.
One meet person, we're getting that way.
Well, so that Mike can be on the board of selectmen meeting at 6:30, can do selecting. Monday, 7:20, calendar.
This should be a discussion through the word.
That's what we do. Yeah, absolutely. We can nail that down and have something for that Thursday. Okay.
I have two thoughts related to that. Number one, will we confuse people if we send them to the old town hall? What kind of use of voting here?
So it was purposeful, and that was a good question. That's the same question Steph raised. The thought process, and we can just, sorry, we should discuss this too. The thought process in using Old Town Hall is because that's where people kind of go for town meetings and place the votes for that sort of a stuff rather than here with ballots and referendum, because it is an advisory poll, for lack of a better term, rather than an official vote. So we wanted to make sure that that was a distinction. That was the thought process behind it. If you guys think otherwise, I'm sure this is available as well, but.
Well, when we have town meetings, it's generally the same people that all know where the town meeting is and they go there. But we have a whole bunch of other residents that may not know where it is and it's like, I don't know. Michelle, can you share your thoughts on that? Would people know?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, we were talking about, well, we're talking about having them voting, the polling at the town hall. Not the town hall, but the old town hall on the green. Would you know, or do you think a lot of your friends would know where that is and all of that?
Yeah, I don't know where the old town hall is, to be honest.
There you go.
So yeah, I wouldn't know where that is.
That there's probably a heck of a lot of people that don't know where the town hall is.
Yeah. I feel like that answers your question, right? No, I've been, like I said, a resident for almost a decade, and yeah.
We were trying to avoid something that was gonna confuse people if they came here.
They thought it was a.
Mike threw out a firehouse as an idea, as a location. We're trying to avoid the schools. That was the purpose of trying to find a location.
Yeah, Old Town Hall was town.
It's a great idea. I'm just afraid that it might confuse some people and then they'll just go home,
You're right.
frustrated.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I think people will show up at the town hall and be like, "What do you mean it's not here?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then not go.
Is there an issue or a conflict where it would be absolute, we cannot do it here? Is there any reason?
It's perception.
Just the confusion of all the, I try to get some of that stuff down.
Don't try to do it there.
We could do it downstairs. Instead of upstairs.
That's good.
But people are used to.
If it's gonna do it, we're gonna do it later.
Either way, it's just it's a communication issue, which just needs to be communicated out.
We're gonna work that out in the coming days.
Agreed.
Let's just move on.
Since like, I don't know, I didn't know where it was until like 2 years ago.
My other thought was to just make sure we get as much data as we can. If we did a survey and to simplify it, send it home on the card, you know, when we send out our card talking about all of this, just have a little, whatever they're called, to, and go right to the survey site. And that would give us another set of data that we could consider. I'm sorry, I don't mean to make.
No, I mean, it's a separate, I guess the question is, historically, this community doesn't like surveys. People complain about surveys. And then question the data in surveys. I like getting information, but you know, think of what the survey was that the last school building committee put out and the black they got from segments of the community. I know, I mean, it's a valid question, and the reality is surveys are almost too casual, which is why I think we're trying to do like a voting scenario for this. That is more definitive and can track who is voting and that they're voting once, and that we're not having somebody spam a poll times or, you know, their 12-year-old daughter's doing it. Voting, you know,
Is
like
it possible? Is it possible to have someone at like even the open house nights at the schools? I don't know, like with the PTA's involvement. Is that something that could be done? Like just to have a table to talk about the project in general, not necessarily obviously not the voting part, but more of just to get people's attention about the vote and all of the things that the project entails.
Yeah, we talked about that in late August, right? Or whenever that. Yeah. Yes, I think yes is the answer, Michelle.
Okay.
At the meeting.
Yeah, because I think that's the best way to get people's attention, at least people that would be in favor of it. You know, I think that, you know, you're going to find a lot of parents that are going to be more in favor of it at the school than say that, you know, I think the senior center is important, but if I had to guess, most people at the senior center are not going to be, you know, eager to do this like parents would.
Yeah, it's on the schedule for August 26th.
There you go.
Okay.
Now begin to build the support for the referendum.
I don't know what It's Scott, that's on the schedule for the 23rd, but that's gotta be moved up, because at that point you may be in a blackout date.
No, well,
The
Yeah.
20,
no, that's way early for blackout. Town meeting's only gonna be 2 weeks beforehand.
yeah, blackout doesn't start technically till September 22nd. We're talking about August 26th.
Oh, I got, right, wrong month.
That's okay.
Wrong month, I'm just.
No, that's fine.
A lot of dates.
That's what I like, this is why this is all that critical, or we're gonna, so,
Yeah,
Oh, just one more thing on the voting, I think here, when you guys are in your working group, I think here's a better place than anywhere else. So, just.
appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, we'll decide all this next Monday, that's where I'm at, so.
vote options though, on the ballot, we should talk about that. We're gonna do option 1, yes, option 2, yes, no, you know. Where are we gonna-
working group is for to decide all that, right?
That's what we're, no, I mean,
We're having a
we're,
meeting on Monday.
Yeah, we'll-
I mean, we're going in circles on the situation right now.
well, this is another question. I think
So
it's okay.
do we do a ranked choice? Because again, to the point of Mike was saying that you could have people that choose, you know, this option, but then we have an option nobody wants.
Well, I think
This is your first choice, this is your second choice, this is your third choice, this is your fourth choice. You rank choice.
well, there's only 3 choices.
Right.
The intent being people can pick which new school option, which consolidated school option they're going for, what their preference is. Pick 1, 2, or 3. The votes will be the votes. Like, I'm not sure ranking.
Well, ranked choice
Good.
would give you the option to turn, all right, so if the majority is option 1 and 2, then that's what you would have as opposed to.
Well, we're trying to get to one option. Is what
Right,
Bill's
yeah,
got there.
but this was,
Simply,
it would allow you to do it statistically, as
so
opposed
we
to having
would
an
have the
option
input.
that no one would want. That's what you do, ranked choice or something like that, because otherwise we just do a yes, no, you essentially get something that nobody wants. Majority thinks.
That's all I mean, yeah, I guess so.
I mean, that, allow more.
No. It's not a yes,
But it's
choose an option, it's A, B, or C.
Choose option
A, I'm gonna do option C.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, that's the advantage of this type of setup too, is it allows us more flexibility and.
Both of their costs are the same.
But yeah, how we present it, those, it was the option of giving us that information.
Because you're gonna have a first place, you're gonna have a second place, and you're gonna serve,
Correct.
whether you have ranked them or you just pick one, regardless. You're going to have, one is going to have the most. Second place is gonna have the second most. There's three options.
The no vote is.
Your point, Adam, we get to make conversations go on, but your point is that you could whittle it down to say, hey, this is the option that just was not supported across the board. There are two options that had the most support that provides.
It's a data point for us.
Right.
To make a decision.
Right. So, yeah, so that gives us the ability to look at this pragmatically and say, all right, well, this one option is off the table because there's no support.
What do you think is the best? What do you think is the second best? What do you think is the
Exactly.
insurance?
How you do, how you structure it, you're gonna have that.
Because if you only have a yes, or if they only pick one, that's
That's
the three
it.
questions,
Yeah, so.
then you will not have a deal.
You're just gonna say write a one next to your. You know.
You have choice
Stable.
A, B, and C. All right, then you have a box. 1, 2, 3. Which is your first option? Which is your second? Which is your third? If you do it like that, then you will know. If you don't, you will not.
Well, you'll get people's second choice and their third choice, but I think you're gonna get that from majority consensus, out like with a single.
But
selection.
what I'm saying is that if I have A, B, C, you say check a box, one box.
What's your preferred choice? Yes, and then the highest number is what people are preferring, because you get,
Know what the other options are.
well, yeah, because more people will.
Yeah.
Like that.
So I think the possibility with having people ranking the choices is you could have a lot of the people in town could agree on their second choice. And you could conceivably have every single, let's just say, let's be crazy, everybody thinks that whatever choice would be their second choice. And so you have, I don't know, 90% of the people picked number 2 as their second choice. And then if you go that way and say, well, so many people agreed on that one, but it might have been nobody who picked that as their first choice. So I guess we have to figure out what is our goal, which information are we valuing more? Are we valuing agreement? You know, does it matter to us that everyone loved a certain one as the third choice? So we should pick that one because it got the highest number of votes. Or, you know, how is it that we're doing the right thing by selecting the correct number 1? So does ranked choice matter, or does just the most number 1s matter?
Rank choice typically only kicks in when one choice didn't reach 50%. So if we have 3 choices, one's at 40, and then one's at 30, and one's at one's at 40, one's at 35, one's at 25. Then we would look at who ranked that number 1 choice as their second choice among those 2 votes on the 2 and 3. And then until one of the choices gets over 50%, ranked choice keeps on going on. We keep on checking people's second and third choices.
So in that scenario, you would allow ranked choice voting on the paper ballot itself, but you would first evaluate if one of the choices was over 50%.
Correct.
Okay, so you get both answers that way.
Yeah.
Yes. If we structure it that way, we can get the data we need to make it, to do the 50% versus the ranked choice. So otherwise we would not have the data.
Okay, yep, I'm getting that.
I like that. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Dead horse? No, I heard. All right. But important horse. All right, so action items on that is I'll set a agenda for a meeting. Mike, you're gonna work through the mechanics, working back from the 29th of September. Scott, you're gonna look at with Mike, once we have that information, what that does to the rest of our schedule. All within this week. Sound good?
Yep.
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
Good thing we meet on Monday. There's a lot of.
Sleep in October.
I also have on my tasks, Jim, the discussing the mechanics of the polling with the various people too, to make sure we're not missing some stinker in the, in the game plan there.
Okay.
Including absentee. I'm going to ask all the questions.
Just make sure this room is okay to be used as well.
Yeah,
It
that is one challenge with using that room for the 2 days. It's a little harder to schedule, but I'm gonna venture a guess we can make it happen.
Okay. All right, beautiful. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Much more to come in the next week on locking that down, but September 29th is now our new referendum. Sorry. Okay. Next up, due diligence coordination, potential new site. First up, appraisals. Scott, we have not heard back. I was expecting an appraisal today because that's when they said they might get something. Have you seen anything?
Yeah, I believe we should have it by the middle of this week.
Okay.
Yeah, I did reach out.
All right. So
And then, based on that, we do, just because this is moving quickly and because it's gonna be tied in. I guess we gotta decide, we do need a second appraisal for the state. Now, we can wait and get that second appraisal after the referendum, if you so choose.
We actually should, right, Scott? Because it can't be aging.
Well,
right?
yeah, it has to be 6 foot, but there has to be two for the land to be reimbursed by the state. So, yeah, we can go out and get a second. See if we can find a second. We had a tough time getting the first, so Mike, I don't know, based on the first, or we could ask the current individual providing the appraisal, if they know of someone they can very quickly piggyback on this thing and get us a second.
We don't need it,
source.
correct? Like we have the appraisal really is utilized now, this first one for purchase and sale due diligence. The second.
Yeah, the second one is really for reimbursement. The state allow you to reimburse up to the higher
Right.
retail prices.
There's no harm in
So
waiting on approval.
You could, yeah, you could.
The second one really is probably better to come after January 1st, because then it would be less than 6 months old, and then we
Yeah.
wouldn't have to pay to refresh it. We'd only have to pay to refresh the one we're getting now,
Okay. Yep.
right? I think that was our earlier discussion a month or so ago, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay. So when we get that appraisal, we'll forward it along. Site clearing. That work. We authorized, we even covered it. Mike, is there any update?
Most of the markouts are done. They'll be finished tomorrow. The contractor is working on the scheduling right now.
Beautiful. Thank you for getting that accomplished, Mike.
Mike, do you have a date when you think the contractors are gonna be complete? I'd like to give the geotechnical engineer a target.
I'm pushing on them to try to do it by the end of this week, but they have not committed to that yet.
Okay.
All right, so once that's done, we can coordinate getting geotech on site, but to do that, moving right along to geotech. We need to basically authorize that work, so. What you have in your packet, or to the bottom of mine, is a proposal from Wealthy Geotechnical.
I did notice the heading is wrong. I grabbed another RFP. So it's all correct information. I think it just talks about wetland and site, but it is for the geotech RFP.
So long story short, covers all of the scope, including the added scope that was revised after the fact, so it covers all of the geotechnical work, the tests, the borings, as identified by locations identified by Tecton. And there was an ag scope for.
It was a boring for an infiltration test.
Which
Which is included.
That's on the septic. So that in total is $9,500, which is under the 10,000 that we were, which is within the $10,000 range that we were anticipating for this work. Recommended by Scott Stewart. So we need to make a motion to approve this, if we want to go ahead with it, so that it can be scheduled and get that due diligence done before the end of the month, hopefully. Does anybody want to hazard a motion on this?
Real quick, what was the A for their completion date?
Well, again, I will reach out and notify them they've been selected. We're targeting to have the site cleared by the end of this week, and I will check his availability and get back to this committee. We did just have a fairly quick turnaround on another project. It was about a week out from notification that he was able to get on site, but the sooner, again, I'll notify him tomorrow of his selection, and we'll get him, try and get some calendar dates on.
Do you know what the report time was after they excluded?
Within a week.
Oh, okay.
It was pretty quick. From when they did the field work.
I'll make a motion to approve. Yeah.
I want to say dated
July 6th, 2026. Starting boarding test holes. River roads.
Did you repeat that louder?
Oh,
sorry.
So I make a motion to approve the Welty geotechnical services. Both dated July 6th, 2026. Corresponding to July 2nd, I believe, 2026. Total of 95.
I will second that. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. Lisa, can you give us a roll call on that, please?
Yes. Mr. Marshall,
Yes.
Mr. Brewer,
Yes.
Mr. Bacon, Mr. Brothers,
Yep.
Ms. Grosjean. Yes. Mr. Tian,
Yes.
Mrs. Alonis,
Yes.
all in favor, motion passed.
Beautiful. And we already discussed something about everything part of that, because that's infiltration is.
Well, that's part of it, if I may. Yeah, I'm coordinating with Mike. Once the site clearing is done, Tecton did locate 2 test pits. So we've got to just get a piece of equipment out there. I have the contact information for the health department. I'll be reaching out to them, scheduling a site visit, coordinating, getting that piece of equipment on. So we'll dig 2 test pits and review that in the field with the sanitarian.
Beautiful. All right, so what's happening in July here? All right, old business, and this should be quick because there's not much action. Early childhood, 6A, early childhood education reimbursement incentive, these are just on there, this will be closed after tonight, just confirmation, and this was posted out that we did get direct confirmation from OGA. It was also confirmed by our state representative, Nichia, that Willington is eligible for the early childhood education for ages 3 and up. So that confirmation is there. The extra 15% bonus is available. So that can go away.
Jim, for clarity, this doesn't involve the birth to 3 years old, right? It's 3 to 5.
Correct. We get eligibility for that bonus just for preschool age kids. That's all we gotta have for it. Thank you. Operational budget savings through consolidation. Next up, that is where we stand. I suspect the Board of Ed meets tomorrow. What's your timing look like? Is it?
Do you want to try and finalize that at the joint meeting on the 27th?
We can. Do you have any updated placeholders? Because we're gonna do offsets and have. Now it's
Updated placeholders.
no, I mean, if we're not. Okay, so we're still going under the assumptions of $500,000 to $700,000 plus additional operational savings of X for staffing savings, either 500,000 or 700,000. What's the total look like is what I'm trying to get at, because that offset is gonna go out.
It's gonna change after all the utility, right?
Yeah, you'll take care of that part, but from a Board of Ed perspective. What further?
It's gonna change mine.
Yeah, you're gonna pull it out.
I'm gonna take it out.
Yeah. So when, I'm trying to get at the timing when we can see that, because that offset is gonna be an important part of the puzzle we summarize for people in the next week. So even if it's not finalized,
We just needed to scrub out.
we need an update.
The electric.
Yeah, electric, oil, water.
You were gonna prepare like a one-page thing.
Can we just take those numbers that he had before and once you take it out, subtract it too?
Yeah, there's two prongs. My concern is the twofold. One, we need it for our budget numbers, but also we need something that we can say, here's a document that is available for the community to look at that synthesizes that. If we have updates, if you can get me kind of an updated figure, Bill, we can capture that before we get to Board of Finance as a, it's a highlight reel. It'll still have a flag
On Thursday?
Yeah. Cause you're basically there on I think you were there on the staffing piece. Essentially. If it's completely, I can hold 500,000 or 700,000 if we need to for now, we can finalize it on the 27th. I don't want to put you on the spot, but
I will do what I can.
okay, I appreciate it. Communications, community engagements, this is just remained on here, the marketing proposal told Andrews, we let that go officially.
Yeah.
When we last discussed this, we were talking about setting up and evaluating, so it followed, with further discussion with the 12 group rep, we thought this is not something we're gonna pursue with, and thanks him for his time, so that'll close the loop on that. Social media, we are maintaining active presence. Next up, Paul Foundation outreach. There really isn't much. Mike, you're maintaining contact, but because of, I think that a death and a recent death in the Hall family, their ability to really engage with more detailed conversations has not been forthcoming. But Mike is keeping in contact with the Hall Foundation, and we will continue to engage with them as these projects advance. Mike, anything further? I didn't miss anything?
You are correct.
All right, thank you. And future mailers. At minimum, we will have an upcoming events mailer with notice for referendum dates and stuff like that. We do need to coordinate this. I will see what we can do. If we can get, depending on what dates we selected, if there's anything we can do to expedite mailing and get it out before those August dates, I think we should try to do that. I will go down to wherever the heck CCM is and pick up the thing so that it's go right in the mailbox with them. If they can turn it around quickly, I will try to get that out to you guys so that we can discuss it on Monday. That's it. That we do. Not hard. All right, so with that said, take a motion to adjourn, and thank you, everybody.
I'll second.
Yeah, I got it. All right, all those in favor? Please say aye. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate all the hard work.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
I'm not gonna be available Wednesday, most likely for I can believe the site should still be able to open up to everybody. But if not, would you prefer sending out your own team's invitation?
This team should work because you don't.